So look at Anthony Ryder from South Lyon, Michigan, recently selected as the Lions 2020 Fan of the Year. He has a passion about sports broadcasting.
With the 112th selection in the 2021 NFL Draft, the Detroit Lions select Amon-Ra St. Brown, wide receiver, USC. All right, baby.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another Detroit Lions talk. We have a lot to go over today. It's Sunday. There's not football going on. There's been no breaking football news, but we do have a lot to talk about. For those of you that are members, you saw the schedule that I had in place for the month of April, and we have already skewed away from that just a little bit. So today we are going to catch up on that schedule, going over the Malik Willis prospect breakdown as well as the quarterback rankings for this year's class. Now we're going to start off with the quarterback rankings, go over the tier list of quarterbacks. The way I did it was I did it in tiers, right? I did it tiers 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, guys. Not necessarily ranking them 1 through whatever, kind of putting them in groups where they could be rearranged in any order. And, they're close enough where you could rearrange them in any specific order. So getting on to that, we're going to start off with the quarterback tier list, and we're going to start off with the quarterback class rankings for this year's class. Now, before I get into it, I do want to talk about the fact that this is not necessarily for the Detroit Lions. This does not take into account fit or, scheme diversity or, how I think that they would play in Detroit. This is just based off of talent, where I think these quarterbacks rank in the 2022 NFL draft class. And I'm going to talk about whether I would draft these guys when we go over each and every one of them individually. So starting off with tier 1, in my tier 1, these are the guys that I would draft day 1. These are the guys that I would feel comfortable saying these can be first round picks. These guys can develop into something. These guys can very well in their NFL careers become long tenured starters and be franchise quarterbacks in the NFL. Now, Malik Willis is my quarterback 1. This is the only quarterback that I'm going to give a ranking. Malik Willis is my quarterback 1. Matt Corral and Kenny Pickett can kind of flop for 2 and 3, but Malik Willis is my quarterback 1. And of course, as I said, we will get into Malik Willis in just a little bit more in depth on him, as I think he is the most realistic quarterbacking process out of the first 3 tiers of quarterbacks, right? The first 3 guys that could eventually be starters one day. I think Malik Willis is the most likely guy to be picked in this scenario. But Malik Willis, great athleticism, really good arm, smart kid. Very, very coachable, just all around a great football player and a better person. He definitely has some things to work on, but I don't want to get too much into Malik Willis right now because we will talk about him a lot in depth later. And I have a good 6 minutes of film that I want to show you based on what I see on Malik Willis and why I would think the Detroit Lions could at least show interest in the quarterback out of Liberty. Now, Matt Corral is my quarterback 2. He's my second quarterback in tier 1. Again, you can kind of flip him with Kenny Pickett, and I don't think it would be that big of a difference. But Matt Corral, really good arm, has, just a lot of really, really good measurables, has a lot of really good abilities. I'm trying to think of the word that I want to use. Has a lot of good things about him, right? He's got a good arm. He's fairly mobile. He's really smart. Again, he kind of the same thing with Malik Willis, right? He didn't really, wasn't put in a lot of systems where he had to be, getting to the 3rd and 4th read. A lot of the times his first read was open, and that's kind of the way that a lot of quarterbacks are coming out of colleges from big schools. Is your first read is open probably 60-70% of the time. There's no need to go to that second read, but both of them have showed the ability to read the field, read the entire field, and get onto it. I think Malik Willis is the better quarterback, and I think he will develop into a better quarterback, but Matt Corral I still think can be a very good round 1 quarterback for any team that needs one. And then Kenny Pickett, the Heisman, I believe came in 4th place for the Heisman Trophy. I don't think has the athletic upside of Willis and Matt Corral. I think they're a little bit faster. I think they're a little bit better athletes, but I think Kenny Pickett is maybe a little bit more accurate. And I think he's maybe a little bit more pro ready with a higher floor, but not necessarily as high of a ceiling. I think all three of these guys can start day one. Not that I would sit Malik Willis for a year. I would sit Matt Corral for a year. Honestly, I think Kenny Pickett's the only one that will start day one in this class, but I think Matt Corral and Malik Willis will develop to be just as good, if not better, than Kenny Pickett. So as we get into it, Jack Johnson said it just can't play. Raman, the new age, says Willis Etu has to be on the table, if nothing else, to create a smokescreen and trade back. Yeah, and I know Dr. Detroit said, why it's just a huge smokescreen. But at the very least, he's a very realistic possibility at number 2, and he is something to consider. So being Malik Willis, of course. So at the end of the day, going over Malik Willis is not a bad thing, because either you take him and now you know that what you're getting with Malik Willis, or it's a smokescreen and you're going to create some buzz for players in order for players to trade up. Gosh, I cannot talk today. But if you're trying to create smoke, you would think it would be watch game film on not want to throw up. I'm going to go over game film. I have a good 6-minute clip here of things that I like out of Malik Willis, and we're going to go over his strengths, weaknesses, and just things to know about the quarterback, because I think a lot of people are just kind of hating on Malik Willis for no reason. Pickett better start day one. He's 26. Yeah, I think he will. That's part of the reason I think he's the most pro-ready quarterback, is because he's the oldest and has the most experience. But he is my tier 1 of quarterback. Desmond Ridder and Sam Howell are my tier 2. These are guys that I think can go late day 1 to early day 2. These are guys that I would expect to go, between picks 20 and 45, right? Again, that late day 1, early day 2. I think they can both develop into some really quality quarterbacks. At the very least, they're going to be young quarterbacks with some high upside. I don't know if they're ever going to be full-time starters in the NFL. They definitely can be. I'm talking around the edge of a Teddy Bridgewater. I'm talking like Baker Mayfield kind of trajectory, right? Guys that are like borderline starters, but are probably more journeymen in the NFL than anything else. Tier 3, I think, are going to be your top tier backup quarterbacks, right? Guys that are going to go late day 2 to early day 3. I think Carson Strong can go on, day 2, late round 3. Bailey Zapp and Caleb Elby, I believe, will go day 3, but will go in round 4. Guys that I think can be really good backups. I don't see the ability necessarily to become full-time starters, but definitely push any backup quarterback for that backup spot, and absolutely push a backup quarterback to be better. And they will make rosters come, the preseason and come the regular season. Tier 4, these are my, 6th, 7th round flyers, guys that can definitely push for a backup quarterback, guys that have, good accuracies, guys that have good arms, guys that have, talent, and they have abilities to play in the NFL, but will likely never develop into anything even close to resembling a starter. Like guys like Cole Kelly, I'd expect to go in the 7th round, Brock Purdy, Jack Cohn, Skylar Thompson. Again, none of these guys are necessarily ranked in order, but these are all guys that I think could be good backup quarterbacks in the NFL for a long time. And then tier 5, these are guys that, might go in undrafted free agency, will probably make a training camp roster, but I would be highly doubtful will make any impact in the NFL. And some of them likely won't even make a roster. These are guys like Akil Glass, De'Aaron King, Anthony Brown, and Mackenzie Milton. Now, we're going to go back up the board to Malik Willis. My quarterback 1 in this draft class is somebody that I truly believe can develop into a starting quarterback, and reminds me a lot of Josh Allen. Not necessarily from the measurables or the play style or the abilities, but as far as somebody being incredibly raw out of a smaller school with very clear, visible talents that you are not going to draft for day 1. You're going to draft for year 3 and year 4 in your rebuild. And I know that Josh Allen might be, kind of not necessarily the normal for what you expect out of a quarterback, right? Josh Allen took a very unique path to the NFL. He was not very good in year 1, was not very good in year 2. And then in year 3, he got his footwork right. They kind of started building a little bit of a team around him, and Josh Allen really started to excel. And then come year 4 and year 5, now you're really starting to see the Josh Allen that the Bills saw what he could be through the 2018 NFL draft, but he was not good in his first 2 years, right? He showed flashes of being good, but he was not good, let alone great in his first 2 seasons. But come year 3 and year 4, he is somebody that, is one of the best quarterbacks in the entirety of the NFL. Now, a lot of people have talked about JT O'Sullivan's series on Malik Willis, talking about he can't play, he's not good. JT O'Sullivan said he's never going to amount to anything in the NFL. I've watched every one of those games, including my own tape and including other games on Malik Willis, and I truly believe Malik Willis can develop into something incredibly special. Now, Scott Smith says none of these QBs will start for anyone in September. I bet Kenny Pickett starts in September. I'd be very surprised if he doesn't start for any NFL team in September. And I believe Matt Corral and Malik Willis will be starting quarterbacks by next season. The only NFL-ready quarterback in this draft won't be ready until the late fall, and that is Carson Strong. I don't think Carson Strong will start at all in his NFL career personally. I just don't. I think his style of quarterback just isn't relevant in the NFL anymore. I think he's just a very pocket passer, very statuesque quarterback. And in the NFL now, that's just something that doesn't really work unless you're Tom Brady. Carson Strong is one hit away. Yeah, that's also another thing. He's kind of injury prone. Lions are more likely to finish the D-line with an edge or a 3-tech. O-line finish, D-line finish building. Like I said, I don't think the Lions will take Malik Willis at number 2. And I do have a big board pulled up of what I think the Lions should do with the number 2 overall pick. Now, this is a big board for the Detroit Lions in particular. This isn't like an overall thing, because in no way do I think that Ike Ekwonu is at best the 7th overall player in this class. This is what I think the Lions should do at number 2. My picks are Kyle Hamilton is my number 1, Kayvon Thibodeau is my 2nd choice, Aiden Hutchinson is my 3rd, Trayvon Walker is my 4th. Ahmad Gardner is actually my 5th pick. I think they could do a lot of interesting things, including moving Ifiatu to safety or moving Jeff Okudah to safety and sliding in Ahmad Gardner. He is somebody that, honestly, I saw a really interesting comment talking about moving, Okudah to safety and starting Ahmad Gardner and AJ Parker and Amani Oruwariye as your starting 3 cornerbacks. I think it's a really interesting thing to do, and I think they could do that. Not at number 2, but I'm talking like if they trade down and like the top 4 are gone, I think there's a realistic chance the Lions could take Ahmad Gardner in this class and transition one of their corners to safety. And then Malik Willis is my 6th prospect for the Lions. Malik Willis is somebody that I think has the talent. Malik Willis is somebody that I think the Lions are very, very interested in. But if I'm the Lions, I'm addressing the edge and I'm addressing the safety position way before I'm addressing a quarterback that won't play year 1 at all, especially knowing that next year's quarterback class is a little bit deeper, is a little bit more talented, and has, the opportunity for you to get a quarterback and still sit him for a year after another year of building up your roster. So I don't think quarterback is the most likely position, but I think it's definitely a position of possibility. At number 2, Desmond Ridder is being slept on. He will be solid. I think he'll be solid. Like I said, I see Desmond Ridder taking a pretty similar course to Teddy Bridgewater, right? Being a solid starting quarterback for a while, moving around to a couple teams, kind of being a bridge guy for a lot of different teams. I see him following a very similar Teddy Bridgewater arc, hopefully without the scary ACL injury. Trayvon Walker can play at all of these positions, right? Trayvon Walker can play a lot of different positions. I wouldn't be mad at Sauce Gardner if I draft Sauce at 2. No, I'm not saying draft him at 2. I'm saying like if we trade down to 6, 7 and Sauce is the best player on the board, I think you can do a lot of good things with that secondary in order for you to, justify that. I think there's a lot of pieces you can move around and take the best player on the board, which could be Sauce Gardner. Now getting on to the tape of Malik Willis. Now, before I get into this, you guys know I do not ask for money. I do not ask for donations, but when I do show these clips, this video and this stream will get demonetized. It will get copyrighted, and I will make no monetary gain off of it. So if you guys like it, if you guys enjoy the clips, if you guys like the visual elements of me being able to show you what I'm seeing on tape, then it would be much appreciated if you could donate anything. At the end of the day, I should not be something that you spend your money on. If you have, extra, if you want to just, donate and help me out, I will be able to do more of these if donations do come in. But if not, absolutely no worries. And I would not expect any donations from anybody. But getting into the tape. So this is the play from Syracuse. Syracuse is I'd say a mid-level Division One school, pretty decent competition, right? Ifeatu Melifano came out of it last year, and as did Andre Cisco, right? They've developed some pretty good defense. They're, I'd say, an average ACC team at the best. And this first clip is to show you what Malik Willis will bring in the running game, and this kind of shows his ability to his ability to kind of add to the running game, right? When you have a quarterback run game, it allows you to do a lot of different things on the offensive side of the ball. And this is what Malik Willis will bring you. I believe this is a short yardage situation, like 2nd and 3, 3rd and 3. And Malik Willis is just going to take a simple handoff, or not a simple handoff. He's just going to do a simple QB power, and he's going to show you his athleticism, right? Makes guys miss, powers through some players. I mean, carries 5 guys on their backs to the first down situation, right? He is somebody, and we'll go back and play it again, right? Malik Willis, just at the end of the day, maybe this will be better. Malik Willis, at the end of the day, just is a powerful runner, right? He is somebody that can absolutely improve your running game and your passing game. And the Lions, I mean, they didn't have a bad rushing attack. I think they had like 3, 4 100-yard rushers a season ago. DeAndre Swift had a solid season when he was playing. But, I mean, adding a quarterback element, adding that extra person in the box that can run, that can be powerful, that can make people miss, and just give you a numbers advantage in the box is something that is incredibly valuable in today's NFL. Jack Johnson says, there's a problem with drafting Willis or Gardner or Hamilton or anything like that. It's called you build the trenches. Yeah, you do build the trenches, but the trenches are kind of done. I mean, yeah, you might want to get one more interior defensive tackle, but the trenches are kind of done. The edge rushers are fine. The edge rushers and the defensive line last year got a lot of pressure, right? The offensive line is completely finished at this point. You don't need to add anything for another 2 to 3 years on that offensive line. The trenches are kind of done. They don't really need anything else. And the Lions are at the point where they can take the best player available without having to worry about the need. But one more time, right? Malik Willis, just, I mean, handoff, quarterback power to the outside, comes back. I mean, cuts between offensive linemen, makes one guy miss, 2, 3. I mean, carries 3 defenders on his back and picks up the first down. I mean, that's just what he's going to bring. This is another play. This is not a scripted run. This is just his offensive line being beat by the UAB pass rush, and Malik Willis just being the player that he is, being the athlete that he is, right? You can see this guy right away comes off, beats the left tackle. Malik Willis doesn't even get to the end of his drop, is forced to turn away, is forced to scramble. I mean, what is this? 10 yards, 15 yards behind the line of scrimmage. Number 2 misses, makes 2 miss again, makes a 3rd guy miss, a 4th guy. And at this point, Malik Willis is back at the line of scrimmage after avoiding 4 players in the backfield. He still has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6-ish players to beat, 7 if you want to count this guy, right? And Malik Willis just does what he does, makes that guy miss, makes 2nd guy, 3rd guy, 4th guy, 5th guy. I mean, he legitimately evades 11 defenders on this play. Although he doesn't get into the end zone, he turns, and I'll pause it when I get to the spot, he turns this into a 15 to 20-yard gain. And I know it, and I understand it's UAB, but at the same time, athleticism is athleticism. Playmaking ability is playmaking ability. And this is the kind of stuff that Malik Willis can bring. Jared Goff tried to do this a lot during the season, right? He tried to roll out. He tried to get behind. He tried to roll out this way behind an edge rusher that had beaten Taylor Decker or had beaten Penei Sewell, right? He tried to get behind the line of scrimmage to reset his feet and find a throw. He's not athletic enough to do this, right? This is Lamar Jackson level stuff. This is, prime Cam Newton level stuff, right? This guy misses twice. Makes this guy miss diving at ankles, makes this guy, that 77's blocking, miss, right? He makes 50 right here, miss the tackle. He has 24 grabbing at his ankles. He has, I don't even know what this guy, these 2 guys both miss him and he's still running. Breaks the tackle of 21, breaks the tackle of number 2. And it takes 4 guys to bring down Malik Willis at the same time, right? That's the second play in a row where it's taking multiple defenders at legit Division I schools with, not a lot of NFL talent, but I wouldn't be surprised if some of the UAB has, and I wouldn't be shocked if some of the Syracuse guys go to the NFL. Like Jermaine Johnson and Boye Mafa better than Thibodeau and Hutch. I don't know if I like them better, but I like them better as far as a value standpoint. So that's kind of where I am with that. I like both Boye and Jermaine Johnson. in the NFL, he would have been sacked. No, he wouldn't have, because Lamar Jackson makes these plays all the time, right? I mean, yeah, you can maybe argue, okay, the tackling was not the greatest, right? Maybe it's a back to the line of scrimmage thing, but honestly, like maybe he doesn't get the extra yardage. But at the very least in the NFL, this is back to the line of scrimmage, right? He avoids this in the NFL. I truly believe. And his offensive line will be better in the NFL, I would hope, right? He definitely avoids that. Like, I don't think an NFL player makes that tackle. Like, I mean, they're diving at his ankles. Malik Willis is a strong enough athlete to get out of that. The only time you could maybe say is, I'd say right here, maybe he gets tackled 2 to 3 yards past the line of scrimmage. But even at the end of the day, I mean, he's still showing a lot of power, still not going down, fighting for extra yardage. And yes, maybe Malik Willis doesn't pick up as much yardage at that point, right? Maybe he doesn't pick up as much yardage as that play, but he definitely makes a play. He definitely puts the team in a position to make off-script plays far more than Jared Goff does. Now, Malik Willis reminds me of Dante Culpepper. That's what you're going to get. I mean, Dante Culpepper was a solid quarterback for a while. Malik Willis is a freak. Yeah, he is. Malik Willis is a freak athlete. Now, this play is not a running play. This is a passing play, but this play right here shows you that Malik Willis can make reads. There's a lot of people saying Malik Willis can't make the right read. Malik Willis can't get to his second or third read on the play. That's just simply not true, right? Malik Willis gets the ball. His first read is this guy over on the wide side of the field. That's not there. Moves to the second, which is down on this end. Moves to the third, which is right here. Maybe you can hit this third wide receiver, but that doesn't really work. Moves on to his fourth, finds it, plants his foot with a guy in his face, and delivers a really, really, I mean, just perfect football right to the wide receiver's face mask, gives him an opportunity to come back, make the play. They pick up the first down on, not an easy play, right? Malik Willis gets to his third, fourth guy, and delivers a really, really good pass. Need pass rush, man. What are you talking about? We have one of the highest percent payroll on pass rushers. The Lions are at the bottom of the league in pressure. The Lions are not at the bottom of the league in pressure. They got a ton of pressure a season to go. Go back and watch the Baltimore game. Go back and watch the San Francisco game. Go back and watch the Packers game from week 18. The Lions got pressure almost all season. They didn't get the sacks, but they got a lot of pressure. And a cornerback or a safety, especially a safety like Kyle Hamilton, will give the Lions more time to get home. The pressure was not a problem. The problem was that quarterbacks could just throw it up to wide receivers and let their wide receivers make a play versus our secondary, especially versus our corner, or especially versus our safeties like Will Harris, right? As I talked about in a video a couple of days ago, right? That big play versus the San Francisco 49ers where Jeff Okudah got beat. That should have been a 20-yard play, but at the end, and I truly believe Kyle Hamilton would have gotten there on that play to make a pass breakup. But at the end of the day, he's definitely making the tackle and not giving up a touchdown, right? At that last second play versus the Baltimore Ravens, right? That was on the safety for giving that up. That was not on the pass rush. The pass rush got to Lamar Jackson all day. The pass rush got to Jimmy Garoppolo a lot. The pass rush got to Aaron Rodgers in the last game a lot. But the safeties gave up big plays over the top, so the pressure did not matter. Escapability is great, but then hit the running back who's wide open on his right. Yeah, no, I don't disagree, right? But at the end of the day, Malik Willis, sure, maybe you can always nitpick that there's a bigger play to be made, but if you're saving plays, if you're saving 10, 15-yard losses with a 2-yard gain, sure, maybe you could have checked it down to the running back and gotten a little more, but I'm not going to ever fault a player for saving a play and saving yardage. I believe Willis to be a reach in the 4th round. Well, I believe your assessment to be incorrect, right? This is another look at the same play, right? This wide receiver goes in motion. This is Willis's first read, I'm pretty sure. And then he moves over to this guy who's just not there, right? You could probably hit it, but that would be a really tight ball to fit in a tight window. And then he reaches all the way back to the backside, right? 1, 2, 3 reads later, he goes to the backside, plants his foot, guy in his face, makes a really nice throw over the top. All right, again, guy in his face makes a good throw right to the wide receiver's face mask in front of the first down marker, allows his wide receiver to turn, come back to the football, and fight for extra yardage. It's good play by Malik Willis. Don't need pressure when you're 20 in the fourth with Malik Willis. When you're up 20 in the fourth with Malik. Weren't the Lions like top 10 in pressure last year? I don't think they were top 10, but I believe they were top 15. I don't remember the exact numbers, but they were pretty high. They just had time. Yeah, exactly. Steve-O is 100% correct. The Lions, I don't know if they were top 10, but they were definitely top 15 in pressures a season ago. And they couldn't convert on sacks because quarterbacks would just throw it up to the safety. And the safety, I'd say 6 times out of 10, would not make the play in the air. You give me Kyle Hamilton's making that play. You give me, Tracy Walker made it a couple times, but Tracy Walker also got beat a couple times. Like, Will Harris needs to be replaced. Like that simply. They need a good coverage safety to knock away some of these passes and to force the quarterback to hold on to the ball because the pressure was getting there. The pressure was affecting throws, but the secondary was not holding up for the 3 to 4 seconds it took for the pass rush to get there. Pass rush could get addressed, but safety and linebacker are much bigger needs. And that's what I've been saying, right? I've never said that you never affect pass rush, and I'm not saying you don't address it. But Boye Mafa at 34 is going to be there, right? Drake Jackson, the linebacker, the edge rusher who's really athletic out of USC is going to be there. Like Arnold Ebiketie is going to be there at 34, if not 66, right? Linebacker, I would say, is even a bigger need than edge rusher, right? I would say that if we could get, what's his name out of Georgia? Nakobe Dean, right? If we can get Nakobe Dean at 34, I'd pass on an edge rusher in order to go with Nakobe Dean at 32. Edge rusher just simply isn't the biggest need. Can it be addressed? Sure, right? Can you add more depth? Can you add a 5th pass rusher with Romeo, Julian, Charles Harris, Austin Bryant, and Boye Mafa? Sure. That's a really good edge rushing rotation. That's a really, really good edge rushing group. You add, you add Aleem McNeil, Levi Onwuzurike, who's expected to make a big jump, and maybe one more pass rushing interior defensive lineman. That's a really young, solid group of edge rushers. And sure, maybe there's no Khalil Mack, maybe there's no Myles Garrett or TJ Watt, but you don't necessarily need a TJ Watt to be successful in the NFL. You just need a good, solid player. And at the end of the day, Romeo Okwara is that 10-sack guy. So, that's just how I see it. Won't be up 20 ever if Willis thrown 3 interceptions a game. That just isn't the case. So we're going to keep going through it. Again, I think this might be the same play just from another angle, right? 1, 2, 3, maybe 4. It's hard to tell, but at least 3 different reads on the play. Gets it to the backside, gets it to his last read on the play. Just a really, really good play by Malik Willis. So this is a different play. All right, just a good first down pickup shows you that he can read the field. He can get there. The secondary was the brightest part of the Lions last year. It wasn't. It honestly was not. Amani was great. Jerry Jacobs was great. Our safety play outside of Tracy Walker was not great. Our safety play was really bad. I heard Brett Coleman compare Kyle Hamilton to a Javon Curse. Makes sense. A 6'4" safety that runs a 4.6. I don't believe in the 40 time. I believe in the GPS time for Kyle Hamilton. I believe what I saw on tape. And I think that if the Lions use Kyle Hamilton correctly, he would be very worthy of a top 10 pick, right? And I know I'm somebody that respects Brett Coleman's opinions a lot. I'm somebody that is very high on Brett Coleman, and I hold his opinion in very high standards. But I just simply saw something different when I watched the film, right? I saw a deep-ranging free safety. I saw somebody that in a cover 2 or a cover 3 can make plays from the far hash to the sidelines, right? That's what I saw. I don't think he's Jayron Kearse. And Jayron Kearse is a good player. Jayron Kearse with the Cowboys is playing really, really well. And I honestly think that there is something. I think there is an injury that's affecting him right now. And the 40 time isn't reminiscent of his actual speed, right? I will take the GPS data over the 40 time, over the 40 time any day of the week. And his GPS against Florida State tracked him at just over 21 miles per hour, which is, pretty close to tracking down, right? Tyreek Hill is pretty close to tracking down like a Jalen Waddle. And they even mentioned in that short that, that 40 times pretty BS, right? They saw Kyle Hamilton chasing down guys that were far faster than 4.6. They saw him chasing down guys that were in the 4.4s, high 4.5s, right? He's a much faster safety than what his 40 time would indicate. And again, I hold his opinion in high regards, but I personally saw something different. We absolutely need linebacker. Muma and Chanel would be my choices. Jack Johnson corner was much better than I think everyone thought it was going to be, but safety played all. Yeah, that's exactly how I feel. And Wade Ryder with the $4.99 donation says good stuff. I appreciate it. But yeah, corner played pretty well. Corner played, I thought, really, really well. But safety just didn't. Safety did not play. And our coverage unit has two different pieces, the corners and the safeties. When the corners could make plays, the secondary looked good. But when the safeties were tested, it looked pretty rough. I love Dean, but he will be gone by 32 for sure. I mean, I think he will be, but at the odd scenario that maybe he falls out, then maybe he doesn't. Like maybe he does fall to 32. I think it's a possibility. Willis is rough. He could be great under Goff and Brunell. I agree. I think with a good year of development, he can be something great. This is another play from Malik Willis, just a shot down the field, good ball placement. I mean, let's go with this from the 15. I mean, pretty effortlessly tricks the camera guy. It's actually all the way down the field. I mean, flips that from the 15 to the opposite 40. That's good 50, 60 yards in the air. I mean, again, just good ball placement, gives his wide receiver an opportunity to make the play. Wide receiver high points the football and just makes a good play. Now we are going to do a lot of film on his worst game of the season being at Ole Miss, because even though it's his worst game, and even though Dr. Detroit would tell you that JT O'Sullivan said that he will never amount to anything in the NFL based off of this video, that simply is not true. Now, Rock Howard says, Nakobe Dean, in my opinion, benefited the most from that stacked Georgia defense. He might get exposed in our defense. Not saying he's not good, but he would really need to build up on the front D for him to be good. I'm taking Nakobe Dean more for his coverage ability than his run stopping ability. I do agree that he kind of benefited from that Georgia defensive line, but I think as far as like pass coverage reps and sideline to sideline, like outside zone stuff, I think he'll be good. Now, I don't think he'll necessarily be at his strength when they're running like right at him, when they're running power stuff. But as far as like zone running stuff and as far as like outside sideline to sideline or coverage, I would be, pretty safe with Nakobe. I'd feel pretty good about it. I'm not sure what the Lions are going to do or who they're going to draft, but I do trust this GM and coaching staff. I also trust it. And I think that's the biggest thing is like, Brad Holmes at this point has earned the trust of the fans, right? Regardless of what we might speculate, regardless of what we might, say, or what we might think, I trust Brad Holmes to draft correctly. And if Brad Holmes takes, Kayvon Thibodeaux at number 2, I'm going to trust him to pick. If he takes Kyle Hamilton at 2, I'm going to trust the pick. If he takes Trayvon Walker at 2 or Malik Willis at 2, I'm going to trust the pick because at this point, Brad Holmes has earned that. Now, second and third against the Ole Miss Rebels. This is by far the best team that Malik Willis faced all year long. This is by far the best team and the best talent that Malik Willis faced all season. And although he had a hard game, right, although he struggled a lot, one interception of his 3 was really, really bad. And this is not on the tape, but it was, he just didn't see the safety, trusted in the arm, trusted in the play call a little too much, and threw a pretty bad interception. I didn't see the second one, but the third interception was at the end of the game, down 2 scores. You need to score on that play. Just gave his wide receiver a chance, and it got picked off. It got tipped. Whatever. I don't really hold the third one against, so I didn't see the second one. The first one was pretty bad, though, I will have to say. But this is not what this play is. This play is a negative, unfortunately. This play is, it is a completion. It is, a positive play that picks up a first down, but this is one thing Malik Willis really, really struggles with. Malik Willis is not good at anticipating throws. Malik Willis, as you can see on this play, it's not an RPO, but he does have the option to run with this football if nothing is open down the field, and he does see it open. Right when this pump is happening, and I'm going to go to a different angle to show it to you, right when this pump fake is going, this wide receiver is breaking. And I want to see Malik Willis let go of the football right here, let it rip, and just put it right to the wide receiver. But what he does is he kind of pumps it, and then on the second throw, he gets it away. And the wide receiver's open. He completes the pass. Malik Willis, makes sure the throw's open before he throws it. It's not the end of the world. But at the NFL, and even on this play in particular, I would like to see Malik Willis just throw it the first time, right? There's no need to make sure it's open, right? You just need to trust your guy. You need to, just be able to open it up, right? You need to just be able to trust your guy and throw it. And this is kind of what I'm saying, right? Malik Willis, this is the first pump fake. This guy is breaking right here. I don't know why he doesn't throw it. Like, it's pretty wide open. I don't know if he just doesn't know where he's going to stop, if the wide receiver goes too far, if, what the case may be. And it's still, a wide open throw, still really easy to hit. But at the end of the day, I would like to see Malik Willis throw this ball right here, right? He pumps it again, and sure, it's wide open. This guy has probably 6-7 yards of space. Malik Willis, arm talent, puts it in. It's fine. It is what it is. They move on. They move the chains. They get to the next thing. But, I mean, I'd like to see him show a little bit more anticipation. That's something that was really touched on with JT O'Sullivan. When I read we are moving to a 4-2-5 and I see our 6 currently rostered linebackers, maybe linebacker isn't even our top 100 selections. And do we trust Brad Holmes if you take Sauce Gardner at 2? Like I said, I would trust him. I mean, I wouldn't like the pick, and I don't think it's even a realistic pick. But whatever pick he makes, I'm going to trust it. And I think the linebacking core definitely still needs to be addressed. Maybe not like top 30, maybe not top 50, but at like that 66 pick or that 97 pick, I would definitely address linebacker at that point. People forget Mark Brunell was a running quarterback. Picking Willis won't shock me. It won't shock me either. It definitely won't. He has no time to do anything in that Ole Miss game, or our O-line will let him shine. That's another thing that I was going to get to is his offensive line just isn't good. Like, it really, really isn't, right? This play is, kind of a play action, kind of a, option play. So the offensive line is okay, right? Ole Miss is only rushing 3 guys and a linebacker. And, this guy gets beat and this guy gets beat immediately. Like, if it wasn't a predetermined throw, like Malik Willis would have been under pressure again. It's not the end of the world. It's not, it's a negative play, but it's not like something that can't be fixed, right? Anticipation is something that a lot of young quarterbacks have to work on, and it's something that Malik Willis is going to have to work on. Moving on to the next play, I don't remember exactly what this play is. Okay. So this is the play versus Ole Miss. This is for everybody that says Malik Willis cannot work to his 2nd, 3rd, and 4th reads. Watching the draft room last year, I love the fact that they knew who they wanted. This year will be the same. Value is talked about too much. Now, what you need, know who you want to take them. Yeah. And I think come draft night, the Lions are going to know who they're going to take, right? I think the Lions probably have a good idea now, but come draft night, I don't think there's going to be any indecision. I don't think there's going to be any question. They're going to know who they're taking with the number 2 overall pick in the draft, if they end up keeping the number 2 pick in the draft. You'll never go wrong with a Willis. I see what you did there, James Willis. That is kind of funny. Let's just see. I'll get to Steve-O's comment in just a second, but I'm going to go over this one. Malik Willis, right here, I don't know exactly what his first read is. I think maybe this would be his first read because that's really the only wide receiver over there. Gets back to this guy on the 2nd, right? Eyes looking right at this guy. It's covered by this linebacker. Kind of stares it down a little too long maybe, but his offensive line actually gives him pretty solid protection. And when he sees that his first 2 options aren't there, he checks it down to a running back. He checks it down to the running back and gives his running back, 7 yards of space. Now his running back picks up an extra 3 yards after contact. It's not anything, maybe it's a tight end. But at the end of the day, it's nothing crazy, right? He gets to his 3rd, 4th read, nothing's there. He checks it down. He showed that ability versus an SEC team that he can check the football down and that he can make the smart decision over and over and over again. This is the same play, right? Checks this guy, he's taken away. Checks this guy as the 2nd read, gets taken away by this linebacker. Yeah, you could maybe make this throw, right? But this throw's a lot harder than this throw. And, Malik Willis sees this tight end leaking out. Sure, this tight end's this wide receiver's a little farther. This guy has a little bit more space maybe, but his eyes are over here. And the closest option after that is right here, right? He sees this guy leaking out, sees the easy tight end, and makes the simple pass, right? And gives his guy an opportunity to go make a play. That's the right read in my decision. That's the right decision for him to make. And he showed that he can make that decision. Now, 4th and 1 is the next thing on the 34. We'll get to it. But Steve-O says Willis has a God-given talents to be a franchise quarterback. The biggest question is if you believe in this coaching staff to develop that talent and get the best out of him. I think he's worth the risk. I also think he's worth the risk. Now, again, he's not my number 2 guy, right? He's my number 6 guy on the board right now. But if the Lions take Malik Willis, there's certainly a lot to work with, and there's certainly a lot to develop if you are that guy. I know what I'm talking about. I think we all know what we're talking about. We don't need to watch all this tape of Malik Willis because we aren't drafting him at 2. There's a good possibility we draft Malik Willis at 2. That's all I'm going to say. I just so disagree. Willis is the same old Lions pick. We need to build the team, not get distracted with Andre Ware Part 2. I mean, again, I'm just going over, giving you the tape and giving you what I'm seeing on tape as far as Malik Willis. Now, this is a 4th and 1. Honestly, if it's 4th and 1, it's kind of a deep play for 4th and 1. But at the end of the day, this is a really good play by Malik Willis. Okay, Malik Willis, right? Fake play action, right? Never going to hand this ball off to the running back because the offensive line can't hold up. Rolling to his left, middle of the hashes. Just to right to the numbers. Perfect ball. Not necessarily falling away, but definitely on the move. His feet are not 100% planted. Another angle of this one, right? Malik Willis rolling to his left. On the move, good dart right to the wide receiver's face mask. It's just a good play, right? It just shows you this is where Malik Willis shines, right? Off-platform throws, using his athleticism, getting outside the pockets. This is where Malik Willis shines, right? This is a harder pass than he would have to face in the NFL, right? The hashes are wider. This is a tough throw. This is a really, really difficult throw to make, and Malik Willis does it pretty effortlessly. So is the following season draft class not of QBs any better? Yeah, next year's class I would say is better. But at the end of the day, if the Lions take Malik Willis here, I wouldn't be upset. I don't think it would be an SOL move. Switching to a 4-2-5 scares me. Our linebackers are not that good. I'm going to wait until the draft to say that because, again, the linebacking core I really don't believe is set. So I'm going to wait until the linebacking core is solidified to make that decision. But at the end of the day, right, this is another play. 2nd, 17. I believe I know what this play is, right? The offensive line, it doesn't get beat, but this is not an easy throw, right? You have this blitzing linebacker. Right when he releases it, this guy's within a couple of yards. Still a throw Malik Willis definitely makes, can still step into it and still get the ball out there. But this is a throw from far hash to the very, very boundary of the field. This is an elite quarterback throw right here, right? And maybe, sure, you could say, okay, he can get rid of this a fraction of a second quicker, right? Maybe right here is where Malik should be getting rid of this. But he's still on this first read, right? This read you could probably fit. But he's still on this first read, decides it's not there, moves on to the second, and as soon as he looks at the second read, he throws it, right? And this is a throw from the 40 on the far hash to the 45 on the sideline. This is probably a 50-yard throw through the air, and that is a throw that you will never have to make in the NFL. That is a wider throw than you will ever have to make in the NFL with the guy who is blitzing, right? That linebacker is pretty close to you. You're not necessarily, you can step into the throw, but there's still a guy in your face, still a guy, making your life a little tougher, and your offensive line is not giving you the greatest protection, right? Moves to that second read, one step, plant, and throw. This guy affects the throw a little bit. Good block by the wide receiver, but it's just an elite throw by Malik Willis. That's why we only put 2 on the field better than a 4-6-1. That is true. Our DBs scare me more. Not so much our DBs as our safeties. I'd say our safeties scare me a lot more than our cornerbacks. It's because he had somebody running after him. Dr. Detroit's O-line was one of the worst I've ever seen. Yeah, his offensive line was horrible. And I will give Dr. Detroit some credit. I will say that Malik Willis's footwork does sometimes carry him out of the pocket. And I will say that his footwork sometimes does not help him get into good situations. Right? I would say that his footwork does put him in poor situations sometimes and does make him drift out of the pocket, but his offensive line also did not help him, like Steve-O was saying. The talent he played against is the worst in the league. How can you make that argument when I'm pretty sure you were the one, Dr. Detroit, pining for Trey Lance a season ago, who played against far worse competition and went number 3 overall? Right, Malik Willis, in my opinion, showed more than Trey Lance at a higher level of competition. And, maybe not better statistically, but played against far better competition, played against SEC, played against, North Texas is not a horrible football team, played against Syracuse. He played against good competition with a far worse roster than what Trey Lance was working with at NDSU. And, the talent he played against, not really, right? Like Steve O was saying, Liberty was an independent school. They played some decent schools. They played Syracuse. They played, obviously Ole Miss right here. If I go to, we'll go to Sports Reference because I don't remember everybody that Malik Willis played. And sure, they might not have played the best schools. I'm fully willing to say, like, okay, he didn't play the great, like he didn't play in the SEC every single week of his entire career, but he did not play. He did not play bad schools, right? First couple of years, he played at Auburn, so he did play in the SEC, but didn't play a lot, so I'm not going to count that, right? Played Western Kentucky, who's a decent Group of 5 school. Louisiana is a ranked school. Syracuse is a ranked school. Virginia Tech is a ranked school. Southern Mississippi is not a bad school. North Carolina State, NC State is a ranked school in the ACC, as is Coastal Carolina in 2020, who they beat. Syracuse is a good school. Again, Louisiana is a good school. Mississippi, Ole Miss is a good school. So is Louisiana. Like, they didn't play slouches. They didn't play horrible football teams. They played some good quality teams that had much better talent than they did. And Malik Willis, at the end of the day, elevated that team to be better. He is short and can't see. He scares me for our team. You're just coming up with excuses after excuses. Every time I disprove you on something, he's too short. Drew Brees was just as tall as Malik Willis, and Drew Brees was fine. Kyler Murray is shorter than Malik Willis. Kyler Murray's fine in the NFL. Height is really not that big of a deal. I know it's, stereotypical to be 6'3" and big and, have a huge cannon like Josh Allen, but you can survive at 6 foot in the NFL. It's not that big of a deal. Didn't Willis have a backup tight end playing center? I don't remember. I don't know if that's true or not, but if that's true, that even, plays to his point a little bit more. Kyler Murray is shorter than Malik Willis. I like Trey, but I was for the safety / linebacker. Again, you liked Trey Lance, even though Trey Lance had a better surrounding cast against worse surrounding talent and did not show nearly as much grit, nearly as much leadership, or nearly as much ability to elevate a team like Malik Willis did. Virginia Tech, Coastal Carolina, and beat them both. He did. And against Virginia Tech, let's see, he had 3 touchdowns and 0 interceptions, 20 for 30, 66, 217, and 3 touchdowns to 0 interceptions versus West Virginia. Against Coastal Carolina, didn't have a great game, right? 2 interceptions, still had a 112 quarterback rating. Again, they still won the game, and that is partially due probably to his rushing ability, who I can't really say, right? His rushing, he rushed for 4 touchdowns versus Coastal Carolina. So, he might not have thrown a touchdown. He had 4 touchdowns versus 2 turnovers. He helped win that game. Versus West Virginia, he had 4 touchdowns in that game, 2 0 turnovers. Against Southern Miss, 7 touchdowns in the game, 0 turnovers. Against Syracuse, he had 3 touchdowns, 0 turnovers. Against Louisiana Monroe, he had 3 touchdowns, 3 turnovers. Turnovers got to go down, but still scored 3 touchdowns, scored just as many touchdowns as turnovers, right? Against Mississippi, he only scored 1 touchdown. But like I said, one of those interceptions wasn't really his fault, and the other ones were not great. But, it's one bad game versus a top-ranked SEC school that a lot of people are getting hung up on. It's like Justin Fields and in Indiana a season ago. The Liberty coaching staff was trash. I think their offensive coaching staff was pretty good, actually. I think they drew a lot of really good play designs, but the surrounding cast for Malik Willis was absolutely atrocious. Taller, I don't love Malik Willis' size. I love his arm strength, not his accuracy. Again, his accuracy is debatable. I actually think Malik Willis is better on off-platform throws than he is on on-platform throws. I think his throw on the run is actually better than his set feet. But that's also partly due to his footwork, right? When he's on the run, he's relying on his athletic ability. He's relying on just instinct. When he's in the pocket, he's got to rely a little bit more on technique. And I think that's all fixable. Malik Willis's struggles right now, in my opinion, are footwork, are, I'd say footwork is a big one. I would say anticipation's a big one. And I would say, I'm trying to think what the other two were. I had 4 cons from Malik Willis. It was accuracy. It was anticipation. It was more consistency, reading reads 2 to 3. Not, again, I showed that he can do it, but not necessarily consistently all the time. And then there was one more, but they're all very, very fixable. I'm okay with just about anything except Hamilton at 2, and then a bum quarterback at 32. That'd be an epic disaster. I think you might be disappointed at Hamilton, but we'll see. We have so many options. It's great. Malik Willis is the best option at 2. He's definitely an option. I would much rather Hamilton than a defensive end and then a linebacker. We're there on the same page. And then linebacker and wide receiver or another end linebacker. Yeah. Well, not before a quarterback necessarily, but Hamilton at 2, absolutely. I would 100% agree with that. But again, it's not the point is not necessarily to make the argument that he should go at 2. The argument is to say he's a good enough quarterback to go at number 2. I think people listen to what others say without doing their own research on Willis. I agree. And I think a lot of people nitpick things that just to make their own points. But I mean, at the end of the day, I think Malik Willis is certainly good enough to be an NFL quarterback. I think he's certainly good enough to be drafted early in the first round with a high first-round investment. And I think 2 or 3 years down the line, very much like Josh Allen, we're going to see a great football player. I'd rather see Sauce instead of Hamilton. Just move Okudah to safety, and we're better at both positions. That's another opportunity. That's another thing that I saw. But I'm not going to project moving players around necessarily because that just seems unlikely. Malik may go number 2, but not to Detroit. That's also an opportunity. Hugh Freeze, the Liberties head coach, he was a successful coach at Ole Miss that got fired for recruiting violations. Yeah, like I think their offensive coaching was pretty good, but like they just didn't have the talent to compete with Ole Miss. It just comes down to this for me. If the quarterback, I want more of a sure thing like Stafford was. Stafford was not a sure thing. Stafford was a gunslinger, and you, of all people, Dr. Detroit, was harsh on Matthew Stafford when he was here in Detroit. So I don't want to hear anything about Stafford was the safe option. You hated Matthew Stafford when he was in Detroit. You said it was time to move on. You said he was not a top 10 quarterback. You said this and that and trashed on Matthew Stafford all day long. So I don't want to hear anything about that. I think I'm convincing you, Dr. Detroit. I think I'm getting to you a little bit here. Safety at 2 would almost be as stupid as Okudah at 3. Actually, safety might be worse, except for the fact that Kyle Hamilton's kind of the best player in the draft. Sam Williams at 66, best edge rusher in the draft. I don't think about best edge rusher, but definitely good value. Put the pro days on and watch the precision throws. No, pro day is not a good way to evaluate anybody. No, this is where we agree, Dr. Detroit. I'm not putting any eggs in the. I'm not putting no eggs in my pro day basket. I just watched a random PFF video saying Okudah was a sure thing lock to be a solid pro. Shows that you never know. Okudah has just struggled with injuries, right? I think he'll be really good next year. I really do. He played pretty good in his first game before getting hurt. If Okudah stays healthy, I think you see a really good season out of him. It definitely was not the greatest. It was not the greatest pro day of all time. And even if it was, that's not how you judge a quarterback. I did not hate Stafford. I did want to move on from him. You were saying Stafford was not a top 10 quarterback. You're saying Stafford would never win anything. I very clearly remember you saying even in LA, he would never win a Super Bowl. Don't try to go back on it. I know exactly what you've been talking about, Dr. Detroit. I remember these things. But just, keep going through Malik Willis. We got a little bit more to go. Another thing he adds to the game, right? Kind of what we started with, quarterback power, right? Red zone, you add an extra guy to the box. You add an extra person in the running game, an extra blocker. Give him an option element. Malik Willis will score this touchdown 9 times out of 10. I mean, it's just an easy read. It's an easy run for Malik Willis. That was his only touchdown of the game, but that's exactly what he brings, right? Another one, elusiveness. Malik Willis has very little reaction time here, right? He turns, this guy's in his face, foot in the dirt, move. This guy 10 yards behind the line of scrimmage. He's off the screen in 60 frames. Malik Willis then, right, I mean, and just another look at it, right? Easy, foot in the dirt, gone, moved. That guy's out of the way. You not only have 10 defenders to worry about, you go forward. Sure, I would say maybe if you really want to be nitpicky here, you could make the argument that he should throw it to this guy, right, with this blocker here. But, or maybe you should take it a little bit more outside. But at the end of the day, if you're really critiquing an 11-yard pickup for a first down, there's bigger things to nitpick. You can't stop the Malik hype train. The pro day was icing on the franchise cake. Again, I take zero stock into his pro day. I take absolutely zero stock into his pro day. But again, Malik Willis, just a phenomenal athlete. Foot in the dirt, gone. He's the best athlete on the field, even against top SEC schools. He's doing this to guys that will be drafted in the NFL. Another play, Malik Willis. This is very late in the game. Oh, just kidding. This is the same exact play. Let's see if we can get to the next one. All right, this is the last drive that I want to do. This is his last drive versus North Texas. He was injured early in this game with a foot injury, came back. This, again, kind of shows his leadership, shows his grit, shows his determination. This is, in my opinion, the most impressive drive of Malik Willis's career here. He's not a top 10 quarterback. He got a team bought for him. Goff would have won. Goff would not have won. Goff literally lost the Super Bowl with a more talented roster around him than what Matthew Stafford had. Same people dogging Willis right now will be them asking, why didn't home pick Willis when he's tearing up the league? Again, I think Malik Willis is a very, very good player. But this is the last drive I wanted to talk about before we get into some other stuff. Because I do want to talk about Kayvon's pro day. And I know, like, you know, we're talking, okay, Malik Willis's pro day doesn't matter. But Kayvon Thibodeaux did go through his pro day, I believe, yesterday or 2 days ago and did look really good. The Lions sent 7 scouts down to see him. So I wanted to watch that as well after this. Not that all the stock goes into his pro day, but, you know, watching him move and, you know, do drills and stuff is, you know, good information, especially the athletic testing. So this is Malik Willis. He's backed up to the 2. I mean, his offensive line gets beat, right? I mean, there's good pressure. I mean, his entire pocket's collapsing. Maybe, I mean, you could say, okay, he drifts out of the pocket and doesn't do any favors, but his line is collapsing, right? If he stayed there, he is done, right? 2 guys bearing down on him, 2 guys in his face. Just, I mean, off platform, falling away, just effortlessly throws this ball. I mean, 7 yards into the end zone to the 17. It's a good 24-yard throw falling away. Again, Malik Willis, his offensive line starts breaking down. He drifts away, falling away, just throws a really accurate football. Gives his wide receiver an opportunity to stay up. I don't know why he doesn't, right? This is another thing. His wide receivers didn't help him, right? That's a very catchable ball. Catch and run. Got to keep going. Very next play, Malik Willis. Okay, again, this is one thing that I think is a problem with Malik. He catches this ball and kind of drifts to the side, where I think if he just dropped straight back, he would have a little bit easier of a time, make his day a little easier. But his offensive line still gets beat, right? If he dropped back, he'd still right in this guy's lap. Malik Willis runs, makes this guy miss, stiff arms this guy. And instead of running like we've seen in other clips, he picks his head up. He sees this guy wide open in the middle of the field, showing that ability to read the field, showing that ability to, look up, not always run, but have the ability to look up and make some passes on the run. Delivers, a little high, but again, falling down, getting tackled on the run, can't ask for a much better throw. Gives number 2 a great opportunity to go make a play in the open field. Easy as you'd like. I mean, just picks up that first down. Thibodeaux don't want to be here. I don't know how you can say that unless you've asked him and he's told you that. KT had a great pro day, draft him. No, I mean, again, I'm not basing it off of his pro day, but just knowing the Lions sent 7 scouts to his pro day, I just wanted to watch a couple of the movement drills, watch some of the stuff that he was doing. He ran out of the pocket. That was there, LOL. Yeah, no, I mean, in that one, I think he definitely did. But again, he still made the play. And I think that's something that needs to be coached out of him, but I also think it's something that's incredibly coachable. I'm not that big on Thibodeaux. He seemed to disappear on a lot of games. His attitude was not great. Give me Walker. Again, I think that's a media thing more than an actual thing. I didn't see that as much as a lot of people said. It wasn't 7 scouts. They sent GM, Spielman, AG, and 4 other coaches. A similar crew went to Michigan. Seems too obvious who they're really considering. Only the DB coach went to Notre Dame. Or maybe they just sent that many players to Oregon because Kayvon Thibodeau didn't compete at the combine. But that's just my opinion. You are not getting out of this in the NFL. Why not? I think you absolutely will. There's nothing here that I would say is that he wouldn't do in the NFL, right? He didn't escape. He didn't run for like 60 yards for a touchdown, right? He escaped. His line got beat. I mean, he cut back. We've seen a lot of Lions defenders miss on this exact play. We've seen Lamar Jackson do this several times. He stiff arms this guy. He doesn't, break this tackle necessarily. He stiff arms this guy and bounces away. And this guy still catches him. Right? There's nothing there telling me that an NFL player would make that play any better. Right? And Malik Willis makes the throw while getting tackled. It's not like he just broke 16 tackles and ran for 70-yard touchdown. He got tackled. He, broke contain, and he made a play. He has incredibly strong legs and an incredibly strong arm. He makes this play in the NFL. He really, really does. Another play. Is this the same play? Maybe. This is not the same play. This is a different play. Let's see. Rams wasn't as talented when Goff went to the Super Bowl. No Kupp, no OBJ, RB injuries. That team was more complete than the team Stafford had. They did have Cooper Kupp with that Super Bowl roster, I'm pretty sure, as did they have Robert Woods, who was available, who played pretty similarly to what OBJ did a season ago. OBJ wasn't even available in the Super Bowl. Aaron Donald was still there. That secondary, that defense in general was number 1 in the NFL. They had Todd Gurley and CJ Anderson and a great offensive line. Brandon Cooks was there as well. That team was better in Goff's Super Bowl run than Stafford's Super Bowl run. He does have the arm strength and strong legs, but he does scare me. Trust in Brad. I do trust in Brad. But see, Dr. Detroit, I'm getting to you. Right? You started this, Malik Willis sucks. Now he has a strong arm. He has strong legs. He can make some plays. I'm getting to you. I see it. Don't deny it. Edge players don't win games. Quarterbacks do. I mean, the edge rushers definitely have a big impact. If Detroit is going to shake things up, let's get a double threat quarterback, something we've never had. Yeah, definitely. That's why you take a chance on a quarterback that could win you games. Yeah, exactly. This is another play. I would say he probably gets sacked on this play in the NFL. But, I mean, just looking at it, right, his offensive line yet again gets beat on just a 4-man rush. Not very good. Breaks this tackle. This tackle probably gets made in the NFL. This tackle probably gets made. He's a very strong quarterback. I've seen quarterbacks break this in the NFL. I'd say 6 out of 10 times he'd probably get tackled. But let's say for argument's sake he doesn't. What does he do after? He rolls away, which I don't think anybody's catching him in the NFL in that scenario, and he flips his ball 40 yards down the field. 40, 20, 5, 10, 15, 20 yards down the field. I mean, just shovel passes it right to the quarterback. Right? This is a tough though. This is an elite play made by a great quarterback. Right? This guy's coming in to hit him. Willis knows he's going to get hit. He's going to take a shot. He doesn't care. He's just going to shovel pass it to his running back. Let his running back go make a play in some space. His running back does exactly that. I mean, again. Oh, okay. This is the last play of the entire clip, so we will get to it. Sauce went to high school in King in Detroit. If you can't get Hutch for a homecoming, get another guy. I'm not going to draft somebody just for the storyline, but I think he sucks, but he has a strong arm and legs. He is also short, scared, and grasshopper. Makes me jittery, but that's something that can be coached out of him. His footwork that takes him out of the pocket can be coached out of him. His footwork can be coached to improve his accuracy. All of his problems are extremely coachable, right? And again, the whole height thing, he's taller than Kyler Murray. He's about the same height as Baker Mayfield and Drew Brees. He's plenty tall enough to make plays in the NFL. I believe this is the last year for Goff. They will take a quarterback, just depends on who. Elite sandbag toss. I mean, that's a play you have to make in the NFL. I mean, that's a really tough throw that I don't think a lot of quarterbacks can make. Short quarterbacks are the future. This isn't 1980 anymore. He isn't. He is tricking or trying to trick teams to think Willis is worth a trade up. No. No, I would take Malik Willis at number 2, and I would feel very comfortable. This is the last play of the game. This is the game-winning touchdown pass. Again, 0 blitz, just showing good patience. I mean, good touch, doesn't rip the ball, drill his running back in the hands. Just a nice little touch pass over the top. Lets his guys out in space. The Lions have ran this exact same screen. They ran this screen in week 1 versus the San Francisco 49ers where DeAndre Swift scored off of it, right? They ran this exact play. You let them come in. Jared Goff just kind of falls back, puts a little touch on it. DeAndre catches it with 3 offensive linemen in front. No chance to catch him. He's gone. This is DeAndre Swift running to the house on week 1 for a 60-yard touchdown versus San Francisco. That's the exact screen that they ran, exact same result. That is what Malik Willis brings. How long before Willis is already better than Jalen Hurts? Honestly, year 2, I think you could see him being better than Jalen Hurts. I think Jalen Hurts, just like Dr. Detroit said, is a fairly good comparison, but I think Malik Willis is faster, and I think he has a much better arm than Jalen Hurts. Sorry. I think he's got a much better arm than Jalen Hurts. I think he's got better legs than Jalen Hurts. I won't say he's smarter or makes better decisions, but I think as far as physicality, I think as far as athletic ability and what he can do, I think that he is better. He's a better prospect than Jalen Hurts was coming out. I think he's just a better Jalen Hurts with better arm strength and just better playmaking ability. It's interesting that the Eagles already want to replace Hurts given all of his success. Do they? Do they want to replace him? Because they seem pretty set with Hurts right now. These clips are making me want to take a chance on him for real. I'm listening, writer, and watching. What's up, Luke? How you doing? I'd be very curious to hear your opinion. Like I said, I went through this whole thing. I put this together last couple of days. These are just the things I see out of Malik Willis. These are things that I like. These are things that I think he could bring to Detroit, especially the quarterback run game element is something that I am really excited about. I think Willis has a stronger arm and legs than Jalen. The head is what is so hard to judge. But I don't think it's necessarily that he makes poor decisions because like I showed, he can make second, third reads. He can make it to a check down. He showed that at the Senior Bowl. He showed that versus Ole Miss. He showed that versus North Texas. He showed it a lot of times. I don't think his head is anything to be concerned about. He's a smart guy, right? The only thing I'd really say he needs to work on in the NFL is anticipation, footwork, and accuracy. But accuracy comes with footwork, and anticipation comes with trust. Those are things he's just going to have to develop in the NFL, but I think they're all very coachable problems. So many haters on Malik Willis. I love the kid. I like the kid too. Like I said, he has a lot of talent. I wouldn't throw him to the Wolves right away, right? I would let him sit. I would let him develop for at least a couple weeks, right? Kind of like the Baker Mayfield situation, right? You start Jared Goff. You tell him this is your job. If Jared Goff doesn't play well, you put in Malik Willis to see what he can do. If Jared Goff plays well, you give him a little bit of time to develop like Patrick Mahomes did, right? They took Patrick Mahomes. I don't remember exactly. Was it the top 10 that they took Patrick Mahomes? Was it the 10th, 11th pick that Mahomes was taken, I want to say? You let him sit. He plays the last game or two of the season when you're either in or out of the playoffs. And, you see what he got going into year 2. I think either way, it's not a bad situation. I think a lot of us like Malik, just not at 2. All of the options we have are getting grilled at 2. Again, I think that's the double-edged sword of having 2. You have a lot of opportunity. You have a lot of good players to take, but you also have to pass on a lot of good players. If we take him and he starts, I'm cool. If not, then pass. Like I said, I think if we play it like how the Browns played Baker Mayfield, right, top pick, but wasn't forced to start until he was ready, then you see, some good results from that. I trust Brad Holmes. Don't see Lions taking him at 2, though. Maybe trade up from one of the Eagles picks. He can't start. Luke, come on. He would get destroyed. If they took him in the teens, I would understand. We need a playmaker on D. I don't disagree at all. I agree 100%. He will need a little time, but the upside is amazing. There is no perfect prospect. Willis does have things to work on, but he does have the traits. He's a mobile piece of clay. And I think just the fact that he played with the Lions coaching staff at the Senior Bowl, and the Senior Bowl staff loved him, also kind of speaks a little bit to that possibility. Detroit, if we pass, we need players on the field this year. That is also something that I do think is big. And I think Malik Willis could either sit the entire year or, like I said, could start week 3, 4, right? Let him ease into it before throwing into the Wolves right away. But I think if the Lions take Malik Willis to 2, you see him before the season's over. Imagine Malik coming in after the bye week. Oh, man. I mean, when it depends when the bye would be. It'd be so exciting to watch. Luke, why do you want to throw him to the fire? Why is that the norm? I mean, we saw that with Trevor Lawrence and Zach Wilson a season ago, right? 2 different approaches with, the top 2 picks versus the 3rd overall pick. Trey Lance set. I mean, they're all rookies. They're all going to make mistakes. It just depends on what they want to do. But I think Goff gives them that luxury to sit Malik Willis until he's ready, whether that be year 2 or whether that be week 2. Why are you trying to throw him to the Wolves? We need players to play. We are not in position to sit players. That's a fair argument to be made. A top 3 quarterback, Brady, Rodgers, Mahomes, didn't start right away. Not saying that he's those guys, but we can see he has the goods. Stafford spoiled you all. At least Willis could make Hard Knocks some exciting. That is true. I think next year the Lions have pressure to win, not this year. The new age Lions cannot take a player based on what he might be. If good, might be good. If he is good, he should play. Simple. If we had to still build him up, I'm passing on him. He's not ready. That's very true. I will always be open to others' opinions if they are half educated. And I'm not a scout. I'm just expressing my concerns from past experiences. That's fair. It's year 2 of a rebuild. Relax. Stafford played and was taken 1st overall and was ready. Why take a player who's not ready? I mean, Stafford did not look very good his first couple of years. He did not start his career very well, but he got there for sure. We may not have our coaches after this season. That is true. Aaron Glenn could be leaving. I think Ben Johnson stays around though. I really do. Because I don't think he's gonna get a head coaching job after year 1. What if Pitt moves up to take Willis and he comes and is the next Mahomes? He can sit and learn for a year here. But that's also assuming he's gonna be the next Mahomes, which I think is just a lot to put on him. That's why I say Stafford spoiled you. Stafford definitely did. What are you saying? Get a QB that is NFL ready. That's all. That's fine. I think Malik Willis, not necessarily week 1 ready, but I think, 3-4 games in, you could see Malik Willis starting by November. Glenn and Aubrey are gonzo. I don't think Aubrey Pleasant's gone. I think Aaron Glenn will leave, and I think Aubrey Pleasant will get promoted to the defensive coordinator job. No QB in NFL is ready out the gate. That's not true. Luke, this regime ain't going nowhere. Draft the future franchise quarterback. The regime might not, but coaches are. When's the last time the Lions drafted a top QB and let him develop? Talk about outside the box. Matthew Stafford? Ring a bell? Let's see. Manny, Brady, Stafford, Big Ben, and the list goes on and on. Yeah. Well, Brady didn't start day 1. Brady did not start day 1. But Manning did. Stafford did. Ben did. Newton did. Murray did. Jackson didn't, but Jackson, got playing time early. I sure hope we don't consider. There's a question I have, Luke. If the Lions draft Malik Willis and use him like the Ravens used Lamar Jackson in his rookie year, right? Used him sparingly, right? He wasn't the number 1 quarterback, but they kind of used him they used his ability on certain packages until he was ready to be the full-time starter. Would that be something you'd be okay with? That's just a thought that popped in my head is if they use him like they used Lamar Jackson in his rookie season, right? He's not the starting quarterback day 1, but he comes in on certain packages. He comes in and makes some plays for you, uses that athletic ability, uses that, arm strength, uses that playmaking ability to make some plays for you, either it be like quarterback runs or whether that be like 2 quarterbacks on the field and you do a double pass, whether that be, whatever the case may be. Would that be enough for you to justify taking him at number 2 and waiting for him to develop to that quarterback 1 but still using his abilities early in his rookie career. I'd be curious to hear what you think about that, Luke. I sure hope we don't consider doing anything. I sure hope we don't consider doing another regime change. Give these guys a full 5 years. I don't think the regime is going to change, but I think Aaron Glenn's certainly gone after this season. Manning came out and threw 28 picks, but he also became one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. SOL won't draft Willis anyway, so if Willis came here and won, I would feel bad for him because how many of you guys hate him? Detroit needs you as a coach. I don't think they need me as a coach. I think they're in good hands without me. I'm not sure we as a team are prepared to do that. Do you see the Lions being prepared to do that? 2 quarterbacks? Sure. Why not? Let him play a little bit, give him a little taste of NFL speed, a little bit of NFL competition before he's 100% ready. Sure. Why not? I mean, if he develops into the quarterback that he can be, then it's going to be worth the pick, and you still get a little production out of him before he's, I guess, 100% ready. So, I mean, why not? I mean, that's just how it is. And, I mean, honestly, Malik Willis might not. I think he will go top 10 just because of the quarterback situation. But I was going through – this is a completely – joke of I was just going through. I just made a bunch of trades and was being ridiculous, abusing the system. But this is more what I wanted to show you. Let's just say the quarterback makes it out of the top 12, right? Let's say Houston passes. Let's say New York passes. Let's say Carolina passes, Atlanta passes, and Seattle passes on a quarterback. The Jets aren't taking one. I don't see the football team taking one. I don't see the Vikings taking one. Texans aren't going to take one. Baltimore, the Eagles, the Chargers, the Saints, the Eagles, the Pittsburgh Steelers might take one. They might take one, but they just signed Mitch Trubisky, so that also could be off the board. Patriots aren't going to take one. If he makes it past 9, if Willis makes it past 9, I think you might see him fall a long ways all the way down to 32, which I think would make a lot of people that much happier about this situation. But have we ever drafted a quarterback and sat him for a year to develop? Maybe a long ways back, but we haven't needed a quarterback in over a decade. So, that's kind of not fair to say. Glenn is so great. Aubrey Pleasant won't be surprised if he gets poached. I think Aaron Glenn becomes a head coach next offseason, and I think Aubrey Pleasant gets promoted to defensive coordinator because I think he did it very well at the Senior Bowl. I think he did it very well, just in general when he's been put in that situation. I don't hate him. See, now you're going back. You said he sucks. You said he was horrible. But now you're saying you don't hate him, you just don't like him at 2. You're changing up what you're saying, Dr. Detroit. I'm getting to you. But like I said, there is a possibility where Malik Willis and every quarterback falls out of the first round, right? And I would say Malik Willis is not on the Panthers' radar. I'd say the Panthers, if they're going to take a quarterback, are more likely going to take Kenny Pickett than anything else. But I don't see the Jags obviously won't take a QB. Evan Neal or the Texans won't take a QB. The Jets won't take a QB. I think Brian Dable sticks with his guy. Maybe he takes Malik Willis because he thinks he's the next Josh Allen, but I think the Jets and the Giants stay with their guy. Kenny Pickett probably goes before, if it's Carolina, I think they'd take Kenny Pickett over Malik Willis. It just seems like if he makes it past 9, he might be there at 32 because a lot of the teams outside the top 10 don't need a quarterback. We already passed on Justin Herbert. We passed on Herbert because we had Stafford. It's fine. We weren't going to draft him anyway. Let's not pass on another great quarterback because Goff ain't the answer. The Herbert situation's a little different, but I get what you're saying. Why, if you cast doubt on a player, you have to hate him? It's not that you cast a doubt. It's that you said he sucks. You keep continuously saying he sucks. They won't win with Malik Willis. It's the horrible move. That tells me that you hate him, not that you're scared. It tells me that you don't want him at all because what you're saying is that he sucks, that the Lions won't win with him, on and on and on. Y'all act like the Lions are ready for a Super Bowl. They're certainly not ready for a Super Bowl, but they're getting better. Worst part is Hard Knocks is it will catalyze the scouting on your own coaching staff. Yeah, that's true. Lions can win 6 to 9 games. I think the Lions can win 7 to 10 games. I'll even bump it up one more. They don't have that tough of a strength of schedule, and obviously the draft still needs to be made. But, I mean, they play Jacksonville. They play New York, both New York teams. They play, Seattle. They play Houston. Like, they play a lot of the teams still picking in the top 10. And after a good offseason, I think they can compete and beat all of them. Like, I genuinely think the Lions can get 7 to 10 wins next year, depending on the quarterback play. Scary money, don't make money. That's an interesting way to look at it. So for those of you that don't like Willis, what's your plan next year to extend Goff, trade up with the Bama or OSU quarterback? What are you willing to take? Well, this is another thing, because I think next year's quarterback is better. I think next year's quarterback class is better. And I'll go through next year's quarterback class, and this just has this year's ranking, so it's not going to be accurate necessarily. But, just going through next year's quarterback class is going to be better. Like, I genuinely believe next year's quarterback class will be good. Bryce Young, we probably won't get him. CJ Stroud probably won't get him. I think Spencer Rattler falls off the map. I don't even think he's draftable by next season, but I think Hendon Hooker jumps into the first round. I think that, Grayson McCall jumps up. I think that JT Daniels jumps up some boards. I think that Malik Cunningham jumps up some boards, not necessarily the first round, but I think he jumps up, middle rounds. I believe DJ Uiagalelei could jump up. I think that Tyler Van Dyke and Sean Clifford and Hudson Card could be really good next season. There are some good quarterbacks next season. Next season is a much better quarterback class, regardless of where you're picking. That's true. The Saints could pick a quarterback, but they just signed Jameis Winston to 2 more years, and Jameis played really well with them when he was healthy. So I don't think they're going to take a quarterback. I think they kind of got their guy. We might find single-digit losses this year. I don't think about single digits, but I think 7 to 10 wins is pretty likely. He's not falling that far. Like I said, it's unlikely, but if he escapes the top 10, it's not unlikely. No way Willis gets past Pittsburgh. I think it's unlikely, but they did sign Mitch Trubisky, so maybe they look to go elsewhere. It's possible. I'm not saying it's likely, but it's possible. If we was able to draft Joe Burrow, people would say, nah, sit him. That may be true. Experience, let's see. I do not want him to 2. He is like the Okuda pick to me, too risky there. I want Sewell type pick at 2. You want to use 32, go ahead. That's fine. If you don't like him at 2, that's a fair thing to say. Bro, Mike Tomlin had lunch with Willis. Okay. So, yeah, I said that they like Malik Willis. That doesn't mean that they're necessarily going to take him. Mike Tomlin's not the only one making the decisions in that room. Okay? The Lions sent 7 guys to Hutchinson's pro day and 7 guys to Kayvon's pro day. That doesn't mean they're taking him. If we had Stafford still drafted Joe, then it would. But then no one would have wanted to draft Joe Burrow. I'm saying he's not worth the number 2 pick, and I didn't say you were wrong for that. Everyone say wait till next year, but we might not be able to get a position to draft one. I think next year's class is deep enough you'll be able to draft one, especially with 2 first-round picks. To me, KT sucks. Again, that's another word, sucks at 2. QB to me next year, I'm cool, and I don't disagree. Bryce Young is tiny. Bryce Young is a good quarterback. It's a deep class. CJ Stroud isn't much bigger, sorry. Willis is not falling out of the top 10, probably 5. Again, I said if it happens. I didn't say it was going to. I said it could. Jeff Ridson was just dumping on next year's QB class. He claimed much more talent than this year's. I don't know where he's coming from with that. I would love the Steelers to draft Willis. It will be interesting to see if he sit a year. Again, that's definitely possible. But even if he falls even if he falls out of the top 10, right? You don't even have to necessarily sit at 32. You could call up the Eagles at 15 and say, what do you want to move down to 32, right? We like this guy. We want to move up. We want to jump Pittsburgh. We want to jump New Orleans. We want to jump X, Y, and Z, you trade up. I don't think 32 to 15 would be that big, right? You'd give up 32, probably, a top 100 pick and maybe something next year, but it wouldn't be that bad, at least in my opinion. Lunch with Willis is like lunch with a Hollywood producer. I would love the Steelers to draft him and win a Super Bowl so I can see what is said then. If Willis produces and is not in Detroit, everybody's going to say it like we talked about Justin Herbert right now. I had lunch with Willis' agent, said it's a done deal. He's coming to Detroit. Cool. People need to understand our QB is Goff. He will be here for this year and next year, so get used to it. I mean, I wouldn't be shocked. If the Lions can trade at 32 pick for a first round next year, that'd be the move. Then they have 3 firsts next year. That would not be a bad thing to do. If they like him that much, I would not mind that, but rather get Lloyd. Dr. D seems to hate everyone at 2, so who does he like? He likes Hamilton, I know, which I like Hamilton a lot too. I don't understand why the fan base is entertaining the idea that the Lions are going to take a quarterback, especially a top pick that won't start. They must take starters with the first 3 picks. That is definitely an argument that needs to be made. But trading picks to move up to get him makes more sense when you could keep your capital and get him at 2. I mean, it's definitely a scenario that needs to be talked about. Lloyd at number 2 would be a horrible pick. I'm sorry, Dr. Detroit. Lloyd at number 2 would be atrocious. That would be the worst pick ever. Because, I mean, linebacker just isn't that impactful, to be totally honest. You can get a good linebacker who makes a lot of plays. Linebacker is just not impactful enough to go at number 2. It just isn't. And he's not, I wouldn't say he's even talented enough to go at number 2. I'm fine with Goff for 2 years. Willis can sit, then gets 3 years after Goff. Would that be how that works? Maybe. I think so, yeah. But, I mean, just there's a lot of different ways. My point today was more just to say it's possible and to show you what Willis can do for the Lions. Lions can trade back and still get Willis because he's not worth a top 10 pick. We'll see. We'll see what happens. The Lions are in a rebuilding mode. That's not that important to get a day 1 start. It is. Day 1 starters are what you get in rebuilds. Day 1 starters are what you need in rebuilds in order to rebuild the team. And I understand the idea of okay, they have a lot of time, but you can't just keep waiting for guys to develop. You need starters immediately. And I know, Willis is oh, you can sit Willis. Even Willis can contribute in year 1. Willis at 2. Yeah, we have our linebackers this year. Noah Sewell for next year. I'd even go as far to say Sewell's younger brother in this year's class. So we will draft a QB and sit him for 2 years. No, I don't think that's true. I don't think that. I think if we draft Willis, I think that Goff gets cut or traded after this season. I really, really do. Because Jared Goff's contract allows it. And I think if we draft Willis, you give him that time to develop. You give him that time like Lamar Jackson to play a little bit. And when he's ready, you slide him in and you trade away Jared Goff. Starters, absolutely. We got starter in the 3rd. We need to do the very same thing again. Yeah, I think the Lions need to walk away with 3 to 4 starters in this year's class again, just like they did a season ago. I think the reason I'm so Willis at 2 is because there's no clear talents at top of the draft. I disagree. I think Hamilton is a great prospect at number 2. Can someone tell me in one word what makes Malik Willis worthy of the number 2 overall pick? I would say upside. I think he has the upside of being Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes. I think he has all the tools to be a top 5 quarterback in the NFL. I would say upside. And I know that, you don't draft for upside necessarily in the beginning of a rebuild, but that's why you would draft Malik Willis at 2, is because in 2024 and 2025, you might have a great quarterback on your hands. The fans are also in love with Thibodeau. Look at the film, not when he's in shorts having fun. I've watched game film, and game film tells me he's a great player. It doesn't make sense to you, Luke. You have been Staffordized. He would need 2 years. He's starting after the bye week. Draft the future franchise quarterback. Bucks gave Josh Freeman time. Packers gave Love time. Well, the Packers were just kind of dumb for drafting a quarterback without telling Aaron Rodgers, even though they were going to pay Aaron Rodgers all that money. Jordan Love is a poor example. I don't know who Josh Freeman is. Jared Davis is elite. We won't need a linebacker, and Hamilton can play every position. I mean, I don't know who told you that, but I mean, Jared Davis is a good linebacker, and Hamilton can, but I don't know. No, I know. I understand all prospects have upside, but I'd say Malik Willis's upside outweighs almost anybody else in this class. That famous Detroit Lions word, potential. That's kind of what you draft for sometimes. That's what they did with Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes, and they're doing pretty good right now. He's a modern-day slower Vic. I don't think he's much slower than Vic. He's pretty fast. Upside does not make him a starter. It's a luxury the Lions don't have. Again, I think you can see him in a Lamar Jackson type role. Detroit, Dr. Detroit, I'm so over this number talk. Hey, I'm just giving you the facts and giving you the information. Is still out there. Always, Khalil Hodge is still out there. Let's see. In one word, what is one word to draft a safety at 2? How about impact? He's the most impactful player in the draft. Yeah, he's definitely as fast as not as fast, but he's definitely not like a lot slower than Vic. It's a case-by-case basis. Willis at 2 is Willis at 2. He's none of these others. His upside outweighs everybody else's. I'm happy that I'm not the Lions GM, because I would not have a fun time. If not Willis, then an offensive lineman to make our offense stronger, but our offensive line is complete. Where would you go on the offensive line? Who would you replace? Would you replace Taylor Decker, who's a Pro Bowl tackle? Would you replace Jonah Jackson, who's a Pro Bowl guard? Would you replace Frank Ragnow, the best center in the NFL? Penei Sewell, your former 7th overall pick, who was great his rookie season? Or Big V, the guy that gave up 0 sacks on the offensive line a season ago and over 600 pass snaps? Or over 600 snaps. What guy are you going to replace? Impactful and a position of need. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Domby, you silly. I would replace Decker if I had to, but my right guard. I mean, but why would you replace the one thing that is genuinely really good on your team? Like, the offensive line is probably the biggest strength of the Lions, and why would you replace that if you didn't have to? The days of QBs like Rodgers and Jackson failing are gone. If healthy, our O-line will be elite. That's exactly why I'm saying, why would we draft an offensive line? Vic ran a 4.33 at the 40. I don't know if that would be matched. I bet Malik Willis would get pretty close. Needs is the one word. We need a safety bad. After another one would is playmaker. Yeah. And like I said, going back to the big board, this is just a start to the big board, but this is where I have the Lions right now. Like, if I am the Detroit Lions, this is my big board. And I've only gone 6 deep as of right now, but no, Kyle Hamilton's my 1, Kayvon's my 2, Hutch is my 3, but I think Hutch will be gone by 1. Trayvon's my 4, Ahmad Gardner's my 5, because I think you can do a lot of good things with him, and then Malik Willis is my 6. Tune in tomorrow. Kyle was the best player and show you why we need him. But he is the best player. The Lions fan base has lost its mind. 49ers traded 3 firsts for Trey Lance. That is true. Malik Willis and Christian Watson. Get it done, Brad Holmes. Because of the money, if I could get a better war for cheap, then maybe. Kyle Hamilton is very good. Can we move back but still draft Willis? Yeah, we can. It's possible. That's another scenario. If we are going to make a ton of videos trashing the pick until he starts winning, then they will fade away. Regardless of who the Lions drafted number 2, I am going to be a fan of them, and I am going to give my honest opinion, right? I think Kyle Hamilton's the best pick, but I think Kayvon Thibodeaux would be a good pick. I think Aiden Hutchinson would be a good pick. I think Trayvon Walker or Malik Willis would be good picks. I mean, there's picks that would be bad for sure at number 2, but at the end of the day, I trust Brad Holmes, and I'm going to try to focus on the positives regardless. Let's see. The best part about it is this draft is pretty deep, and the Lions have 5 picks. That is true. The draft is fairly deep, I would say. Luke G and the Lions needed a kicker last year too. They did, and they didn't draft one, but they found one. That's a fair board through 5. I mean, I don't know who would be better than Malik Willis at number 6. I guess maybe Jermaine Johnson. Like, I don't know who you put at 6, but blue and silver. The Lions need a kicker with 7 last year. Was there a kicker worthy of the 7th overall pick? No, there was definitely not. No, you cannot move back and draft Willis. Yeah, you can. Yeah, you can. You definitely can. We can get a great safety at 32 or 34. Which ones? Which safety at 34 is better than Kyle Hamilton? I will wait. Make the choice not. They'd all be good. Can't take a safety at 2. That's insane. Or, okay, instead of looking at it as a safety, look at it as who's the best player available at the biggest position of need. You can even separate it into 2 questions. Who's the best player in the draft? What's the biggest position of need? Both the answers to that question is Kyle Hamilton. That's why I take Kyle Hamilton. Evan McPherson should have gone 7th last year. Evan McPherson was pretty good. Lloyd at 7. I would not say so. I'd say Willis is better than Lloyd. I would take Willis before I would take Devin Lloyd. There will be only 3 positions to draft at number 2: quarterback, OT, and edge. That's it. Maybe defensive tackle. Yeah, maybe in like 1990. Jared Davis is our number 1 linebacker, so we don't need one. He's elite. Jared Davis is our number 1 linebacker. He's kind of the most talented. Derek Barnes is a good number 2, but I mean, drafted behind him would not be bad. And I know it's a joke, but Jared Davis kind of is our number 1. Hill or Sign are very good safety prospects, but they're not as good as Kyle Hamilton. And if you want to make that argument, Boye Mafa is very good. Drake Jackson's very good. Arnold Ebiketie is very good. Why take an edge rusher when you could take them at 32 and 34? If it goes one way, the argument can go the other way. The only difference is the difference between Kyle Hamilton and Lewis Sign is a lot bigger than the difference between Aiden Hutchinson and Boye Mafa. This class is deep. This class might be deeper at edge than any other position. I'd take tackle before safety. Well, then I don't know what's going through your head, because you'd be kicking out one of your best players. Walker's overrated unless Georgia asked him to read and react. Otherwise, he has no moves. He's the newest workout warrior, in my opinion. I think he's a good player. I really do. That's why he's my 4th, right? He's my 3rd edge rusher. I wouldn't take him at 2, but if we're talking like 5, 6, yeah. It's not as deep at safety, though, as it is at tackle. The question should be, what position will have the biggest impact? That would be safety. At this point for the Lions, the answer to that question is safety. Safety will have a bigger impact than a rotational edge rusher. No team in NFL history has ever taken a safety at number 2. Yeah, well, times are changing. People also used to not take quarterbacks that were below 6'3". People also used to not take wide receivers that were 5'10". People also used to draft very, very differently. Times have changed. There's one safety at 2 drafted before. Everyone's in love with Thibodeaux now that he ran around in shorts. I liked Thibodeaux before. I liked Thibodeaux before his pro day. I haven't seen anything about his pro day yet. Lol, Anthony doesn't realize you are trolling. I do. Which one? Where's Don? I don't even see him. But let's see. I don't care who they take it to as long as they start. Kick out means they wouldn't be starting. They wouldn't be playing. If you take a tackle, one of your top players wouldn't be playing anymore, and that doesn't make any sense. Yes, they are going to be judged for it either way. I'm talking about Tibbs or Walker. Not true. A safety was taken second overall before and third overall as well. You absolutely can take a safety number 2. It's been done before. Eric Turner was drafted number 2 at safety for Cleveland. He made 2 Pro Bowls in his career. I mean, I don't know much about him. He was 1991. That was a decade and plus before I was even born. D-end is way more impactful for the Lions. Secondary cannot do their jobs without getting pressure, except for the fact the Lions got pressure a season ago. That is the one thing everybody ignores. The Lions got pressure. The safeties didn't cover. People, don't be chumps. Do your research. Play only the top plays. Okay. Tibbs is talented, but he sucked because he has a really poor attitude. His interviews are crying. That's a fair argument. You can argue that his attitude is not great. But at this point, if Aiden Hutchinson's gone at 1, I think Kayvon Thibodeau is your best option if you're going with the edge rusher. I'm not being the first safety ever. Well, you wouldn't be because Kyle Hamilton would not be the first safety taken number 2 overall. Go back and watch the Lions versus the Ravens. That's what I was saying earlier. Safeties are the last line of defense and have the least impact of any position. That is simply not true. Sean Taylor is one of the best safety prospects as I recall. I believe that is true. I never scouted him. When Hamilton contract is up, the Lions will have to pay him $20 million a year. That's 5 years down the road. I'm not worried about 2027. I'm worried about 2024. We're also the only team that takes tight ends top 10 and see how that helped us. I mean, Taylor was taken 5th overall. Thibodeau, bad attitude. That's a fair argument to be made. I hope Philly wants to trade up so we can get 2 mid-first round picks, and then you can guarantee 4 starters. I mean, you can't guarantee anything in the NFL draft, but trading down would not be the worst idea. They got pressure. They couldn't stop the run or coverage. They need to stop the run and get safety help. Yeah, exactly. I draft Benny Blades, but he ain't in this draft, and slow Hamilton is not Blades. Hamilton is not slow. Hamilton is not a slow cornerback. He's not a slow safety. He just doesn't run a good 40. And that is, some players just don't test very well. Hamilton should be our best safety since Blades for sure, at the very least, if not better. I never watched Benny Blades, but from what I've seen from Hamilton, he can be a great player. Hamilton's effect on the defense would be monumental. Yeah, I got you. Hold on. Copied. Control V, send. All right, I got you. But yeah, Kyle Hamilton at 2 is the Lions' best option. I'd say even with everybody on the board, let's say Ikem Ekwonu goes number 2, which is possible, very possible. I would be shocked if the Lions take Hutchinson or Kayvon over Kyle Hamilton. I really, really would be. I was hearing some NFL commentators comment what Jerry Rice and Anquan Bolden also at slow 40s. Yeah, Jerry Rice ran a 4.7. I guess he wasn't any good. If the Lions didn't want Willis at 2, I'd be cool with Hamilton at 2. It's close, though, between him and Tibbs. Tibbs is scary, though, attitude-wise. Yeah, I'd agree. Blades was a beast. I don't know. I can't tell you one way or the other because I never watched him. But, Luke, what's going on?
I got so tired of typing that I just said, you know what?
Okay. Well, hopefully Luke can return. Let's see. Yeah, they're pretty much the same speed. Kyle Hamilton's a bigger boy with longer arms. Welcome back.
My bad. If you notice my profile picture's got a picture of a particular quarterback. It's the picture that I ran that picture on April Fool's Day. And if you watch Lions on the Prowl, I literally play as if though I was Malik Willis the whole show. And I have fun with it. But I got tired of texting because I'm exhausted. And I really am at the point where I don't think this fan base truly understands something. That is this. If you're telling me that this team has the ability to draft a player second overall and sit them, take them second overall and sit them, then you're telling me you okay if they end up having another bum season at 3, because this is not how the draft works. You don't take people and just sit them second overall. And I know some people are going to say, oh, it's happened before and it's worked out. Well, the 49ers are still holding on to Jimmy Garoppolo. They're trying to find trade partners, but I don't think they're really sold on Trey Lance because he's not ready. And I remember the Buccaneers took Josh Freeman. He wasn't ready. The Packers took Jordan Love. He doesn't appear to be ready. And the history shows that many of the people who come in at quarterback and sit often don't end up being ready unless the team is completely built already. And the Lions don't have an already built team. But the other thing that's really irritating me, when I hear people talk about don't take a safety, there is they talk about all the things that don't evolve around the football field. Oh, he ran a slow 40. And then you start to show, hey, he ran a 4.59. Ed Reed ran a 4.51 or a 4.57, something like that. And then you start to show, oh, his pro day, he ran a 4.56. And then you get the people say, oh, well, Benny Blaze I would take him. Well, he ran a 4.53. So again, nobody's talking about the stuff on the field. They talk about who has the most impact. I saw that was one of the questions. I think that was Blue and Silver. Shout out to him. I think that was Blue and Silver who said that. But I saw that, and even in that, you look at the impact. Well, I don't know if you know this or not, but I think the Lions might have been in the top 3 teams to give up plays of 20 yards or more. Right? Just big plays. Just big plays at the big play. Ryder?
Wouldn't shock me.
Huh?
I said that wouldn't shock me. I don't know the number, but that wouldn't shock me if they were worse.
But Ryder, did I not sit there and show you a whole video of us getting torched deep nonstop?
Yeah.
Even when the pressure was directly in the face and they were hitting and knocking down the quarterback, they didn't care. They were still delivering the ball and getting the ball off. And what people don't seem to understand is this. For me personally, I can make the argument for quarterback at 2. I can make the argument for safety at 2. I can make the argument for edge at 2. There's not too many positions I can't make the argument for at 2. Mm-hmm. What I can't do is act as if though that it's logical for a team to win 3 games and have the audacity to think that they can take a quarterback and sit. You can't do that. Not for a player who I guarantee if you trade down will still be there. Nobody's touching him. He's not even quarterback 1. And that's the scary part. He's not even quarterback 1. But this fan base falls in love with mobile quarterbacks. And I just wish that if we're going to have a conversation and be fair about it and talk about the impact of a safety versus a quarterback, well, go and talk to Peyton Manning, who tells you he hates Troy Polamalu. Mm-hmm. He was happy as hell when Troy Polamalu got hurt. He said, I never celebrated nobody get injured until Troy Polamalu. Him and Ed Reed, I hate him. And when you look at these games, you see where people are staying away from certain type of people. There are intangibles that don't show up on the stat sheet. And for me, I just wish that they gave the same standards to the safety position. You know, oh, if you take a safety, he got to be a Hall of Famer. Why don't the DN got to be a Hall of Famer?
Yeah.
Why don't the quarterback got to be a Hall of Famer? Like, you see what I'm saying? Like, where's the fairness at in that? Where's the equalness and being able to say, oh, these people got to be Hall of Famers. Everybody else get to be substandard, but not the safety. You know, it doesn't make sense. And if you go back to the year when we were winning games in got the safety play in the secondary play of Crockett and Benny Blaze was huge. If you got great safety play, you can leave an Okuda out there on the island, because guess what? Most teams already know that the safety can cover over there. So hey, let's go to the other side. And the pass rush, I don't know where y'all get this from. We've been getting at the quarterbacks. Mm-hmm. We just haven't had our entire line together to do it. But we've been getting at the quarterback. I just find it funny how biased we are because we want the mobile quarterback. So for me, let me be clear when I say this, because I'm not talking about the second overall pick no more until draft. Right? I can't take it no more. I don't care who the Lions take second overall, as long as they are on the field this year for at least 12 games. 12 games. If they're not playing 12 games, you cannot take that person second overall. That is my stance on it. If you want a quarterback and the quarterback going to come in and play and start 12 games, cool. Don't care. Right? If you take a DN, he going to play 12 games, cool. Don't care. But I want you to understand something. Go back to 2011, 2014. Look at all those years when we had good defensive lines that were getting after the quarterback and we had no secondary. We were still getting beat on big plays. And nothing is worse in football than giving up chunk plays. That's just the facts, man. That's just the truth. That's just the reality of it. If the quarterback is the answer and you want to take a quarterback and sit, great. But now you're going to be sitting up there like the Green Bay Packers with a high-paid freaking quarterback sitting. He was so not significant that they was like, you know, Aaron Rodgers, whatever you want. Oh, you want my wife? Okay. It's a little steep, but I'll pay it. Like, that's what they did.
Yeah, and I mean, like I said at the beginning, like, my point in this whole thing was not to convince that Malik Willis should be the number 2 overall pick, because he's not even in the top 5, in my opinion, for what should be. But my point was more just like, if he was what we could see out of him. But I agree with you 100%. I think the safety position is the most important. I think the safety position is what you need to take. And I mean, like I said earlier, if you ask the 2 biggest questions of what's important on draft night, and that is what player will have the biggest impact and who is the best player at this position, the answer to both of those is Kyle Hamilton. Am I wrong?
No, I think you're right. And when I was talking, I forgot who I was talking to, and they were saying that you can get another safety down the stretch. And I said, okay, who's your number 1 safety? And they was like, Kyle Hamilton. I said, if Kyle Hamilton is your number 1 safety, why do you want your second or third best option? I mean, if you can have your number 1 option of a car, you're not saying, I can have this first option in my car, but I'm going to go and get this one. If you love something and the value is there for you in terms of what you love, it doesn't matter. Like, some people go out and spend big money on Jordans. I don't value Jordans, right? Like, I've never owned a pair of Jordans. I won't buy a pair of Jordans. There's nothing against Jordan himself, but they're not valued to me. I just don't see the reason. Like, they're nothing special. They're still the same shoes. However, I look at that the same way with the draft. If you're number 1, if you're telling me that Kyle Hamilton is your number 1 safety, why do you want option 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6? Yeah, it doesn't make sense. And if Joe Burrow, let's flip this. If Joe Burrow and Justin Herbert was in this draft, right, and you had a chance to draft one of them at 2, do you think this fan base will be talking about, oh, sit them quarterbacks for a year, sit them for 2 years?
Well, I mean, everybody was talking about sitting Justin Herbert when he came out,
because they thought he wasn't ready, and they wanted Tua. Remember, our fan base wanted Tua.
Oh, I remember.
If it's anything I know, that when the overwhelming majority jump on that one player like that, it's nerve-wracking. Like, you know what I'm saying? Well, I remember getting yelled at for saying that the Lions are going to take an offensive tackle. No, that's stupid. We don't need a tackle. We need a receiver.
Yeah.
Remember that? Remember that talking? I said, dude, receivers come a dime a dozen. You can get one later. No, you can't. Amon-Ra St. Brown looks real good. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Not even Bob Quinn was stupid enough to draft Tua at 3.
I'm just saying. Well, he was even more stupid. He took a damn cornerback who was supposed to be a shutdown corner. But you're right. Yeah, you're right. But I'm just saying, think about it. Our fan base wanted Tua.
Mm-hmm.
Then our fan base last year didn't even want the tackle. They wanted the receiver.
Yeah.
Like,
not only that, they wanted the 3rd receiver because Chase and Waddle were already gone.
Right.
But, yeah. But like, just talk about like what you're talking about, right? Like Kyle Hamilton, in my opinion, is far and away the best safety in this class.
Yep. Not even close.
And Dax Hill, I think we're on a similar page. I think he's going to be a nickel defender. I think he's going to be a slot.
Oh, he's
guy.
great as a slot corner. Oh my God. Safety, the devil's a liar. He's not good.
Like Lewis Cine and Jaquan Brisker, I think are okay.
I like them both.
But they're not Kyle Hamilton to me.
Plus, you got to ask yourself this question, right? If you, let's say you take Cine, right? You know, he there's just certain things that I see when I watch these games where I'm not seeing him all over the field. If the ball is in his vicinity, yeah, he might be able to make a play on it, right? Brisker is in the box safety, 100%. I love Brisker, but that's an in the box safety, 100%, right? But when I go through and I look at people like Kyle Hamilton, I'll look at people like Treylon Burks, George Karlaftis. I'll look at people like Nakobe Dean, certain people like those. I know that they can hold their own. I know that in and of themselves, they bring an impact that's different. But when I go through and I look at this quarterback class, and I'm telling you, if one quarterback did not get hurt, he would be the number 1 quarterback, which I believe is the Nevada dude.
Oh, you think
Strong,
yeah,
Carson Strong. I think he would have been, if he didn't get hurt, he would have been the number 1 quarterback coming out this year. If he didn't get hurt. Yeah. But I really believe that the Lions can take Matt Corral and get a better player than Malik Willis. And I'm not against Malik Willis. It's just that with Malik Willis, you're going to have to completely design an offense around Malik Willis, similar to what the Ravens did for Lamar Jackson. And they did design an offense completely around Lamar Jackson. But guess what happened? The biggest part of that offense for Lamar Jackson was they had 3 running backs that ran that damn thing effectively as hell. And when they stopped that run attack, he was null and void. The same thing happened with Russell Wilson. The same thing happened with Aaron Rodgers. The quarterbacks need run games, and they need impact run games. The receiver part is cool, but you have to have run games. And to me, I don't see scenarios where if you go and get Malik Willis, that he's just miles ahead of
Matt Corral,
Jared Goff. I don't see that.
Yeah. And then this is another thing. I've seen this comment a lot over like the past 2 days of like Hamilton can't play man coverage yet. How often do you expect Kyle Hamilton to play man coverage?
Exactly. That's one of the stupidest arguments I ever heard. Oh, he can't cover the slot receiver.
Unless
first of all, that's BS.
Supposed to be.
That's BS. And second of all, I'm not asking him to cover the slot receiver most of the times. If I leave him as the 1 high safety, or let's say we're doing a 2 high safety, whatever. If I'm leaving him up there, I know one thing for sure and 2 things for certain. If the ball is in the air, he's got a better chance of making a play on it than anybody else.
Yeah.
Right? Like I know that. But when you hear them talk about that position as a whole, it's about money. It's about you don't take a safety. They don't have nothing pertaining to the field on why he can't do it. And when they start to point out things on the field, and you start to say, "Well, hey, Malik Willis doesn't throw a pass that's an anticipated pass at all. Malik Willis underthrows, behind throws. I mean, you got so many different options where you can see it. Even at his pro day, nobody was coming at him. He's throwing the ball behind receivers, over receivers.
That's fair. That's a fair argument. Like what Dr. Detroit's saying right here is like, if you draft Kyle Hamilton, you're asking him to either cover a big tight end, or you're asking him to either play, between the hashes in a cover 3, or have the field on a 2 high.
That's it.
Like, you're not asking him to cover a 4-3 guy in man coverage pressed up. You're asking him to cover the middle of the field.
How many times have you ever seen Sean Taylor, Troy Polamalu, or Ed Reed trying to come up and press coverage to cover a slot receiver? I'll wait.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. And like, even today, like, even the best safeties in the NFL, right? Jesse Bates doesn't do that. Minka Fitzpatrick doesn't do that.
Nope.
Justin Simmons doesn't do that for Denver. Harrison Smith never did that for Minnesota. I'm just going through safeties now. But I mean, what safety does do that is my question.
We had Glover Quinn. Ask me, we can go and hit Glover Quinn up right now and say, hey, how often did you have to go and cover the slot receiver in press coverage? Let's go ask him that.
Yeah.
You're going to get the same answer every single time. Not often. If any. I mean, maybe we on the goal line, maybe, but at that point, I got space in my favor. Like, it's never on the field conversations when it comes to taking the safety at 2. It's never, and that's what blows my mind. Everybody talks about how good of a player he is, right? But then you have people like the Jets who don't want Kyle Hamilton at 2 because they felt like, okay, well, we had Jamal Adams, and they mad because Jamal Adams was like, I want up out of here. But y'all was also mad. The Jets fans were also mad when Darrelle Revis was like, I want up out of here. So it's something going on over there in that department with themselves, and I get why they don't want to do it. The Lions don't have that excuse.
Yeah.
They don't. The year that we took Stafford, then they took Pettigrew. If you take the quarterback first, you're going to take another player to complement him with the second first-round pick. And then by the time you get to your first pick in the second round, you'll go safety. So now you're talking about, well, no, we can go pass rush. No, they won't do that. They'll go safety because there's more pass rushers in this draft than safeties. So now they'll go safety, and then you're talking about you won't get a pass rusher until the 3rd round. Brilliant.
And then again, another comment. He says NFL tight ends are too quick for Hamilton. The best tight end in the NFL ran a 4.61. This guy's running away from Kyle Hamilton? Really? George Kittle ran a 4.52. Like, that's impressive, but that's 0.04 of a second slower or faster than Kyle Hamilton?
And if you asking Kyle Hamilton at 6'4", if you asking him at 6'4" to run with Cattle or run with Kelsey, guess what? He can run with those tight ends. The problem is you have people. Yeah, I mean, listen, you got to look at some things and say to yourself, forget Kyle Hamilton. Scratch that, right? Go back and you tell me that the biggest problem on the Lions was they couldn't get pass rush. That's BS. The biggest problem was we've given up big plays after big play. There were downs. I think the Ravens game, 4th and 26. What the hell was that? 4th and 19? Well, it was long.
What game?
The Ravens game when he threw that pass to get him
on like their own 15.
4th and 19. And before that, the reason it was 4th and 19 was because they sacked them 3 times back to back. Right? Mm-hmm. And he throws the ball up on a prayer. Oh, he only rushed 3. I don't care. The safety needs to know that, hey, all I'm looking for is the ball. And easy, just right over the top, no issues. Mm-hmm. And I'm just thinking to myself, a quarterback don't fix that problem. We had one of the worst rush defenses. Yeah. Teams were able to run the ball down our throat. The 4 worst losses that we had, they didn't even have to throw the damn ball.
Yeah,
they ran it down our throat.
With that as well, Kyle Hamilton has pretty good run support.
Yes, and if you look at those 4 games, the Eagles, the Bengals, the Bengals. I'm trying to make sure I remember all of them. Eagles, Bengals, Jesus, Denver, and I'm forgetting one. Oh, Seattle. Eagles, Bengals, Seattle, and Denver. If you look at those 4 games, our safeties came up on all of those plays and either 1, took a bad angle, 2, missed a tackle, or 3, they just were never even in the play. They ran the ball down our throat religiously. religiously. And we couldn't do nothing about it. How does a quarterback at 2 solve that?
Yeah. No, I don't disagree. I guess I think Kyle Hamilton's the most impactful safety, the most impactful player at number 2. I like, as far as the big plays, you're not going to find somebody that's going to limit big plays more than Kyle Hamilton. As far as run support, maybe Aiden Hutchinson would be a better run defender than Kyle Hamilton just on the line. But, I mean, if you're given a borderline better run defender but giving up that ability to prevent big plays, what sense does that make?
It doesn't.
So
when you look at the best defenses in NFL history, they all had a safety. I can't think of one that did not have a safety. I can't. You probably go back to the 70s, probably. But you talking about the Ravens? They had Wilson. You talking about the Bucks? They had Lynch, and then they added a compliment guy and Dwight. You just go down the list of the best defenses. They had safeties.
Yeah.
Even the Patriots had Rodney Harrison and God, what's the other damn dude name? I'm drawing a blank on him.
I don't know. But I saw something on just Twitter scrolling the other day, and it was like statistics about Tyrann Mathieu's impact on a defense. And like, he went to Arizona, and like when he was hurt in Arizona, their defense sucked. He came back, they were really good. They went to the playoffs. He came to Houston. Houston was horrible. He went to Houston. That defense was instantly better. They made the playoffs. He went to a horrible Chiefs defense. Almost overnight, that Chiefs defense was better. Immediately. They were one of the top defenses in the NFL. They won a Super Bowl.
Yep. Like, and they drafted 2 safeties that year too. They had Thornhill and that other guy who they ended up having to play slot corner for a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean,
safeties change defenses. I mean,
they do. Take it a step further. If you look at the Dallas Cowboys, right? The Dallas Cowboys have had pass rush, run stopping defense, linebackers. You know, they've had it all, right? They even had the best corners at one point, right? And they were getting torched, lit up on big play after big play because they safeties were terrible. And then they got so bad that they moved their cornerback, Byron Jones, from corner to safety. And then they only had just that one guy. They still had Barry Church, who was hot garbage, and they finally got rid of Barry Church. Then they was like, we're going to try to move Byron Jones back to corner. And when they moved him back to corner, because they thought they had got them some safeties, they realized we didn't have some safeties. And then what they do, you go out, and the first thing that Quinn does is he brings in safety that can play linebacker and safety, and he mixes it up, and they have somewhat decent production. But guess what? It wasn't good enough because they still didn't have the safeties to play back there exclusively. And what happened? They sucked on that end of it and gave up more big plays. Like I can live giving up 5 here, 5 there, 6 there, to 20, 40, 50. Come on. Nobody gave up more of those than us. Nobody. The big runs, nobody gave up more big runs than us. And there is no pass rusher in this draft. They're like, if that was Ndamukong Suh coming out, ain't nobody talking about sit Ndamukong Suh. If that's Julius Peppers coming out, ain't nobody saying sit Julius Peppers.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense. If you took Jamar Chase, you think the fan base would be okay taking Jamar Chase and letting him sit?
No.
Doesn't make sense to me.
This is now one of the only arguments I'm seeing is the odds. The odds don't matter. Brett Holmes is not looking at odds and saying, okay, well, you know, Trayvon Walker has the best odds to go number 2. That's who we're going to pick. The odds don't matter. Vegas doesn't know what's going on.
And Vegas know how to win. They're not looking to lose. They're looking to win.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'm not seeing a whole lot of arguments against it at this point. Like, positional values out the window.
Yeah, that's garbage. Toss that out the garbage.
PBA is only going to work in favor of Kyle Hamilton.
Yep, especially when it's a super need.
Yeah.
It's a super need.
I mean, he's the best player at his position. He might be the best player in the draft. He might be the most impactful player for the Lions defense. He's, in my opinion, as far as you're talking like best to second best, Kyle Hamilton is the farthest separated from being the best safety in his class to the second best player at his position, right? At edge, is Aiden Hutchinson or Kayvon Thibodeau or Trayvon Walker. They're all probably going to go top 10. Kyle Hamilton might be the only
George Karlaftis.
Yeah, George Karlaftis. Kyle Hamilton might be the only safety to go in the first round.
Yeah, it's very possible. It's very possible.
It's fairly deep, and I wouldn't be shocked if they take 2 safeties. But Kyle Hamilton is the best position. He's the best player at the biggest position of need.
And you want to hear the worst part about it? Let's just say hypothetically, they trade with the Eagles and get all 3 first-round picks from the Eagles to go down, right? And the Eagles decide we're going to take a quarterback, right? And they're going to take Malik Willis. The Lions can have all 3 of those picks. Kyle Hamilton won't fall to him. I just don't see it happening. And if you go through and you look at the possibilities that you can get, yeah, you can always get more. It's just like the Moneyball movie where you got one guy who had this production. Can I get 3 guys to give me that production? Okay, cool. But the reality is this. I really do listen to when people talk, and to me, Brad Holmes don't sound like he's so high on these quarterbacks. Mm-hmm. It doesn't sound like he's willing to give up on Goff just yet, and it doesn't sound like he's at a position to just say forget it. He went out his way repeatedly to say there are other positions that you can get playmakers and impact players at outside of those 3. Why? Why did he go that route when the question was clearly about quarterback? Why was he doing that? He was setting the table. Letting y'all know what's going to happen. The same way when he sat there and said, well, we finally took a receiver and hopefully they can get the hell off my damn back. Exactly. Let me do my job and be quiet. Yeah. But a lot of the people who want the quarterback, like Malik Willis, if it was just a matter of getting the quarterback, they would be like Tate Pickett. But then they're going to use the same excuse that other people have. He has little hands. Well, his hands are still bigger than Joe Burrow's. So what are we talking about? Then if they cared about it, they would say, oh, you can take this quarterback. They don't want none of the other quarterbacks. They just want this guy because they want to be able to play Madden and have a mobile quarterback. That's what it is.
Yeah. And then like this comment saying safety only gets involved once you're past everybody else. Edge rusher is more impactful. I don't think people understand that just because you don't touch the football doesn't mean you didn't have an impact on the play. You know what I mean?
Right. And
everybody's getting obsessed with like, okay, he won't touch the ball. He won't be around the ball as much. If you never see Kyle Hamilton on the screen the entire season, that means he's doing his job.
No, take it a step further though. Go back and look at last year's game. Pick a game. Pick a game they won. Pick a game they won, right? Pick any game you want, and you tell me how often you see the safety having to be in the play. And then the argument is going to be, well, because our D-line. No, because they can throw the ball deep. That's the problem. They can throw the ball deep, and they can do it often. Nobody was afraid of us. Nobody was worried about us. Even when we was getting to the quarterback, they didn't care. Mm-hmm. No, they didn't care. So you can go out and get them guys, but it doesn't matter.
This is a great comment. Ownership has changed. Coaching has changed. Culture has changed. The fan base, not so much.
No, they don't get it. They didn't. There are people who didn't want Sewell. They didn't want the tackle. There are people who didn't want the tight end. They like, oh, the tight end ain't helped us. What are you talking about?
Yes, yeah, I've not gotten that one either.
I've gotten the people who say that the tight end ain't helped us, and I'm like, you don't see how people playing us different because they got to watch the tight end. You don't see that?
Yeah.
Impact that does not show up on stat sheets. It's what you want on your team. Travis Kelce gets open a lot because people are so focused at other spots. They're looking at the Tyreek Hills. They're looking at these other people. This whole idea of speed, I don't want to hear it. It's too many examples of people who ran fast. I'm still waiting on the Hall of Fame career of John Ross. Still waiting on that Hall of Fame career.
Yeah.
He's on his, third or fourth team?
Is he even on a team?
Yeah, he got picked up by somebody. Can't remember who the team was, but yeah.
Oh.
So amazing.
And then I also like that everybody, when it comes to Malik Willis's pro day or Kayvon, they're like, oh, he had such a good pro day. And then Kyle Hamilton's pro day comes around. But when it's a good pro day, it doesn't matter. But if it's a bad pro day, that's a problem.
But he didn't even have a bad pro day.
No,
you had some people who made up stories and said that, I clocked him at a 4.7. I said, where in the hell? I'm not trying to be funny. Where in the hell do you get slower? If the NFL clocks you at a 4.59 officially at a 4.59 at the combine, and then you go to your pro day, and then the pros there clock you at a 4.56. Who was the scout who had a 4.7? People who was not paying attention, people who hit their clock late, people who didn't start it on time. I mean, it's just so many different scenarios and variables that go into play with it. What I never heard ever in this process where a person went to the combine, ran, and went to the pro day and ran slow. I don't remember that happening too often.
Mm-mm.
I don't. It almost unanimously end up being that they got faster.
Mm-hmm.
Not Kyle Hamilton. Why? Because some teams have agendas, and I need to put out false information so he can fall to me. People forget Jamal Adams came in and had immediate impact for the Jets.
Yeah. Yeah, Jamal
immediate.
Adams was one of the best safeties in the NFL with the Jets and was arguably one of the best players in the NFL.
Immediate impact. Play the run. And the difference between Jamal Adams and Kyle Hamilton is Kyle Hamilton is just taller.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. He's just taller.
Yeah.
But again, I just had to come on and say that because I just can't take it no damn more. All I ask is this. If you take somebody at 2, please let them start.
Mm-hmm.
Please let them start. I don't care. Take them at 2. But if you go out and you okay taking your 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, or 7th best safety, and they don't perform, remember you had a shot at the best. You chose to go on a different route and wait to see if the fruits of your labor pay out. But I can assure you that given the history of how things work, it's probably better for you to follow the real history of those winning teams who actually had people sit on winning teams where the team was already completed and then they just slid him into the lineup.
Mm-hmm.
That's where you get your success from. All the rest of that stuff that people talking about, that shit ain't finna happen. Because if they going out and they take somebody that's not starting and he's already said he want a game changer at 2. Well, I don't know how you getting a game changer at 2 if he's not on the field. What part of the game is he changing there?
Yeah.
Doesn't make sense to me, Ryder. Maybe I'm crazy. You know what I'm saying? Maybe I've lost my mind, but I love how people like to be critical of me when we can't see the results. And then when the results come, those same people disappear. Their names get to changing. Though, all of a sudden they're nowhere to be found. All the people who hit me up and was like, Stafford gonna suck in LA, I can't find them now.
Yeah.
And the ones that I did find, this is my favorite. The ones that I did find, well, he's not here no more. Let's move on. Now you want to move on.
Yeah.
Now you don't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
Doesn't make sense.
This is also, and just before you go, he said multiple NFL scouts claim the multiple sources with a 4.72 to 4.75 at Hamilton's pro day. The official Notre Dame clock had him reportedly slightly faster than the combine. So am I going to trust hand timing scouts or the actual official clock?
Where he got to run through a rope. He had to run through a rope for the clock to stop. Yeah, I'm taking the hand clocks. Yeah, let's take those. Yeah, I'm going to trust. I'm going to trust the. I remember. Do you remember? I'll give you one of the biggest smear jobs I ever seen worked in their favor. Was they were putting out all this bad press about like Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson did this. Lamar Jackson did that. He can't do this. And Lamar. I remember this, right? And then it gets to the pick 32 and the Ravens take him. And I'm like, oh, okay. And I remember thinking, well, where's all that bad press at that he's not going to be a first round pick? And where did all that bad press go? Right. Mm-hmm. And out of nowhere, they those same people who put on that bad press out change it and go, Lamar Jackson's great. Lamar's the, and I realized at that moment, the media would tell whatever story gets people to click and view. And that's what we do. We send 7 people to Thibodeau, and everybody switched their mind. We're taking Thibodeau. And we send 7 people to Michigan, and we're taking Aiden Hutchinson. And I go back and I look at last year's visits, and I'm like, we sent a lot of people to all these people's pro days. Nobody thought that, hey, why would you need 7 eyes at Oregon? Think about this. Just to look at one player. You wouldn't. It's 7 eyes there to see the other players that they're scouting at Oregon. Yeah. That's why. Why would you send 7 eyes to Michigan to see Aiden Hutchinson? He's in your backyard. They wouldn't. There's other eyes to take a harder look at other players. People just don't think like that. They think, oh, we had a strong presence there for Thibodeau. No, it wasn't. Because if it took 7 eyes to see Thibodeau, that means that there's some internal conflict between the team and they scouts and everybody else on what this guy is. And some people need to see it with their own 2 eyes to see if it's true. That's not good for that player.
Yeah.
I don't think people think like this, but I get it. Right? Yeah. I get it. And I don't argue the person's belief. I ask you to support your belief and tell me about what happened on the field. I don't want to hear about draft position. I don't want to hear about money. And I damn sure don't want to hear anything to the effect, because I can tell you right now, if it was a money issue, go and talk to the Cardinals who took a quarterback, then dumped that quarterback when they got Kyler Murray.
Yeah.
Tell me about money then.
Well, that and like just talking about like the pro day things, like I just looked up because I was curious about like who went to Penei Sewell's pro day. Brad Holmes didn't go to Penei Sewell's pro day last year.
Nope. And I told people this. I told them this in the chat. I said, look at where they did not go, because they already got enough information. It's about where they didn't go that you should be focused on versus where they went.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody got to go to a pro day. They got to go to some kind of pro day. They got to go to some type of workout. If they didn't go to any of those pro days and workouts, you would be surprised. But go and look at where they didn't go. They told Michael Parsons that he was going to be the pick at 7, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because they didn't. But then Brad Holmes came out and quote said, "Oh, we had our eye on Sewell, another offensive tackle, and a receiver." But they told Parsons he was the pick at 7.
Yeah.
That it's pimp talk. Tell them what they want to hear.
Yeah. So
that's what it is.
That is what it is.
So like you said, they didn't go to his pro day, and yet he was trying to trade up to get him.
Yeah.
Pay attention to patterns. And if you go through and look at what pro day did they go? Did they go to the USC pro day? Was Brad Holmes there?
I don't know. Last year or this year?
Last year.
USC pro day.
I bet you he didn't go there. Look at who they picked up.
This is all 32 teams. Let's see. Oh, this is this year actually, so that doesn't help.
Nope. Because there are certain people that they want to see. When you bring more eyes there, it's because each person has a direct assignment. You focus on this person. You focus on this person. We'll focus on this person, so we can see of all this what we like out of these people.
Yeah. And
we can compare it to the next. But I'm going to sit back because I don't care who they take. Thibodeau, George Karlaftis, they could take a kicker. As long as he's on the freaking field from off back, I'm happy. I don't care about nothing else. He needs to be on the freaking field. I'm not taking nobody who can't be on the field this year. Yeah. We need starters. We need people who can come in. They didn't bring back as many people as they could have, and it's a reason for it. Everybody want to go and hype up Marcus Williams. Well, guess what? He ran a 4.56. The same time as Kyle Hamilton. Woo. Nobody talks about that. You was ready to pay an arm and a leg for him. Come on, man. I'm sick of it. Give me a starter at 2. You're picking at 2 and they're not on the field, it's something wrong with you. Because I'm telling you right now, the 49ers, they may be looking for a quarterback in a year or 2. Trey Lance going to have to start to perform at some point.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I 100% agree. I think if you're the Lions, Kyle Hamilton is the best pick. And it's that plain and simple. But that is all we got time for today. We went on for 2.5 hours, talked a lot about Malik Willis, a lot about the quarterbacks, and a little bit about what we should do at number 2. With all that being said, that is all I got for you guys today. Thank you all so very much for tuning in. Appreciate all the support on this Sunday afternoon. But with all that being said, that is all I got for you guys today. I'll see y'all in the next video, probably tomorrow. But for now, that's all I got. Thank y'all for watching. Until next time, and as always, go Lions.